All right. So without further ado, Chris, just start off with the first verse in John 11 for me.
Now a certain man was sick, named
Mm-hmm.
Lazarus, of
Yes.
Bethany, the
Mm-hmm.
town of Mary and her sister Martha.
Mm-hmm. So you may see here
It
is
that Mary
Lazarus.
with
Mm-hmm. So the town of Mary and her
Greg,
sister.
okay.
Yeah. So you got Lazarus here. We get introduced to Lazarus here. He's going to be one of the main characters of this particular chapter here with Mary and Martha here. Now on the surface, it looks like it's just been, John's just introducing people into this book. But what I want you guys to understand is Lazarus here. He represents Israel in its fallen and sinful state because he's sick, right? So to be sick is representative of the Israelites' condition being apart from their God, the Most High. So they was plagued by sin and separated from His life and healing. As we know, up until this point, the northern kingdom is gone away. So this is exactly who Lazarus is said to be, or is spiritually supposed to be a representation of. Right? He's going, because the northern kingdom, they were steeped in sin and idolatry. And at this point, they were scattered because they were divorced by the Most High in Jeremiah 3 and verse 8 for their sin in idolatry. And they were sent away by Assyria to go into the Gentile world and then be apart from the God of Israel, the Most High Yah. So this whole thing underscores that in our natural state, as being, just in the flesh, we dwell in a place of sickness, suffering, and affliction, just like Lazarus here, as consequences of sin. Now, Mary and Martha here may just look like, hey, just two sisters. Now, they represent two aspects of the walk that we Israelites are on, especially of the remnant. Now, you got the active work in faith and devotion, which Martha represents, and then you have the contemplative receiving from the Most High, which Mary represents. Now, Lazarus being sick and he's dwelling in affliction, he had these two sisters who pictured the work of the Most High in the life of an Israelite through faith and reception of the graces of the Most High, despite our fallen condition. Because as we know, the Most High always has a remnant throughout all the generations of Israel. He always had a remnant. So even though the majority of our people, even today, are steeped in sin and idolatry and doing all kinds of manners of wickedness and abomination, the Most High still has a remnant, which is representative here of Mary and Martha, that receive His word, that know who He is, that follow His commandments, that love their Creator and love their brothers and sisters. So when we take in the full context with the rest of the story as we're going to read today, Lazarus again represents Israelites that are lying dead in trespasses and sins. And we can read that if we want to go straight over to Ephesians 2 and 1 and read that real quick. And that's going to show you what what Lazarus being sick represented. Because Paul illuminates this, and that's Ephesians 2 and 1.
You had who were dead in trespasses and sins.
Mm-hmm. And why were we dead in trespasses and sin? Because we walked, if we read the next verse, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world. They were in their flesh, doing whatever they wanted to do. You can read it all over the Old Testament. The Most High sent prophets, the Most High sent messengers to tell Israel of their sins. But instead of repenting and doing what the Most High told them to do, they wanted to do the evil imaginations of their own heart. Up until they split as a kingdom, and one went off into deep idolatry and sin, which was the northern kingdom led by Jeroboam. And they did all manners of wickedness until the Most High got done of them. He got sick of it, and he divorced them and took them out of the land. So this is what we're going to learn. This is who Lazarus represents here in this story in Mary and Martha, as we're going to continue to read if we go read verses 2 and 3.
It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick.
Exactly.
Therefore his sister said, what's up?
No, keep going. I was just saying exactly.
Okay. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick.
So in these verses right here, we see Yahusha receiving word that his friend Lazarus is sick. Right? So again, if we look up the Hebrew of Lazarus, or what it means in the Hebrew, it means God is helped. That's what it means. That's what his name means. And like I said, Lazarus represents the northern kingdom of Israel, who had been taken captive by the Assyrians about 700 years prior due to their idolatry and turning away from following the Most High's laws. Now, the northern 10 tribes will become known as the lost tribes of Israel after being assimilated into these pagan nations. Now, Mary and Martha, again, they can also, instead of being representative of the two sides of our walk as Israelites who are part of the remnant, they can also represent the tribes of Judah and Levi and Benjamin as well, who made up the southern kingdom of Judah after the division of Solomon's kingdom. So Judah and the priestly tribes, which is Levi and part of Benjamin, they remained in the lands. Remember, Christ had to fulfill these scriptures. So one kingdom had to stay in the land. And so the southern kingdom, which comprised of Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, was this kingdom that had to remain in the land so Christ could come there and fulfill the scriptures that all the prophets before him wrote about. Right? So Mary anointing Yeshua's feet with that costly oil, that represented her foreshadowing of his coming death and resurrection. Right? And you can read that in Mark 14, 3 through 9, as part of your own reading that you can do today. That's Mark 14, 3 through 9. You can read where Mary is anointing his feet, preparing him for burial, basically. Right? So there was a foreshadowing of that event. So just as he would raise Lazarus from the dead, right? So in the deeper sense now, when the text says Lazarus whom thou lovest is sick, it's conveying that the northern kingdom, who were once the Most High's chosen people, because remember, they used to be part of one kingdom, but they split. They had become grievously ill or weakened spiritually due to turning away from the Most High's commands for so long among the pagan nations. They had become fully assimilated and losing their identity as Israelites. And if we go to James 4 and 4, what happened to them as well? Again, that's James 4 and 4. James goes and tells you exactly what they have become by being in those pagan nations.
Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God.
And that's exactly what a lot of our people, even back then, even today, have become. A lot of our people, a lot of Israelites today, they have become friends of the world. They want to be friends with everybody. Instead of loving their own brothers and sisters and their own God, the Most High, they have decided to be friends with everyone. So the message that was sent to Yahusha represents the salvation and the redemption that would come for all 12 tribes of Israel. Because remember, he's going to bring this northern kingdom back through faith. It hasn't happened yet, but he's showing you. John is trying to relay this to you here. He's using regular names of people, but if you dig deeper, you see the bigger meaning of what it means, because he's going to bring back the northern tribes. He's going to use Paul and Peter later on to bring them back through faith in Messiah. He hasn't died yet, but when he does, that's going to allow the northern kingdom to finally come back into covenant with the Most High. Okay, so again, Mary and Martha, as I say, representative of Judah and Levi and Benjamin, informed Yahusha privately so as not to alarm the others or cause a stir among the unbelieving Pharisees. Because you know about the Pharisees, they ain't like Yahusha because he was taking away their power. And we're going to read more about that later on in this chapter. Right? So it was represented by Pontius Pilate because that was the pagan power structure in that day. Because the Romans, they were under Roman rule at this time. So they knew he would want to help Lazarus, just as he had mercy on that same Gentile, or AKA woman of the northern kingdom, who was the Samaritan woman that we read about previous chapters in John 4. But they informed him privately first, reflecting what? That there was always has been a little flock of faithful Israelites. And if we go to Luke 12 and 32, Yahusha tells you about the same remnant. Again, as Luke 12 and 32.
Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
To give you the kingdom. You the kingdom. Who is he talking about here? He's talking about the remnant, the Israelites who have faith in Christ, who follow the law, statutes, and commandments, who love their brothers and sisters as they love themselves. This is who he's going to give the kingdom to, this remnant here. And that's who Mary and Martha represented here. Because we keep the Most High's commandments secretly, even during times of deep idolatry as the world is in today. Even amongst all this stuff that we got going on today, we still keep the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments. Despite all the wickedness our brethren are doing, all the heathen are trying to get us to do, we as Israelites, we continue to follow the Most High on this narrow path. All right. So as we keep on going down through John here, we just read verses 4 through 6 here to get some more understanding of this story.
When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby.
Yes.
Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he heard, therefore, that he was sick, he went to the same place where he was.
Okay. So, again, Bethany here, because that's where Lazarus is right now. Bethany, it means house of affliction. If you look it up, the meaning of what Bethany means. And so Bethany represents what? The fallen Gentile world. These are the other heathen under the dominion of Satan that Yeshua came to deliver us from, right? Because that's who Lazarus is. Lazarus is in Bethany. He's sick. Just like today, we're in all these nations under their Gentile rule, and we are spiritually sick. We're doing all their pagan feasts. We're partaking in all their pagan rituals all over the world every day. We continue to stray further and further from the Most High. So this is what Bethany represents in this story, right? And I already told you Lazarus represents the northern kingdom. So he says the sickness is not unto death, right? So what does that say? So that means that the northern tribes, the northern kingdom, that have been long afflicted spiritually in the Gentile world, their condition was not irreversible or spiritually terminal if they would turn back to the Most High in faith. Because that's what all y'all wanted from us in the first place, was to love him, love your brothers and sisters, and follow his ways. But we didn't do that. But he never said that it was over. He says we could come back to him if we turn back to him in faith. So rather than rushing to their aid immediately, Yahusha, he stayed 2 more days where he was. Now, the number 2, as we would know, it represents division, witness, or confirmation, because that was established by 2 or more. As we know in Deuteronomy, a matter is established when there are what? 2 or more witnesses. So Yeshua delaying 2 days signifies he was allowing a further period of witnessing and preaching to occur before demonstrating his power to restore Lazarus in Israel. Now, it also provided 2 additional days for his message and works to be manifest as further confirmation of who he was. And who was he? He was the prophesied Messiah that came to redeem and restore the whole house of Israel, as we know, as we read in Matthew 15 and 24, if you want to read that real quick to kind of jumpstart our memories on who he came for. Again, that's Matthew 15 and 24.
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
That is nobody else in there. I didn't see any other nations. House of Israel, 2 kingdoms at this time. Even in today, we're still split as a kingdom because we're still not one yet, because the Most High is going to do that when he comes the second time around. Right? So we got northern and southern kingdom. Those are the houses of Israel. That is who he has come to die for. No one else, as everyone likes to say, what John 3:16 is. That is not it. We are the world of the Most High. Just like people say about their kids. Oh, my kid is my whole world. Right? People say that. So why can't the Most High say that Israel is his whole world? Why does he have to talk about everybody when he doesn't know everybody, as we already know this? So just a little, reminder of who he came for. So why we have this, so as we see, he waited those 2 extra days so all this stuff can be manifest. So the miracle, when he does the miracle, it would stand as irrefutable proof of his deity as the creator of all life, because we all know Yahushua was the one who created the whole world. He's the Word. He was the Word that was made flesh. He was the Word that created all things, as John said in John chapter 1, verse 1. But it foreshadowed his own death and resurrection after 3 days, which provided further witness that he was the resurrection, as he's going to say later on in this chapter. Because he came, as it prophesied and promised in Isaiah 53, to come and die for Israel. And so his delay, again, it allowed the most incredible sign possible, which was to raise the dead, because it's never been done before, to glorify his Father and draw unbelievers who were still unbelievers, because there were still unbelievers in Israel at the time, so they can come and join unto him so that they can be saved and have eternal life. Because the Most High did not come for the righteous. He came for sinners, because we were all sinners. Isn't that right, everybody? We were all sinners. The Most High called out to us to come to him. And when we came to him, what happened? All this word that I'm talking about was revealed unto you. And guess what you started to do? You started to listen. He took away all those iniquities that you had, and he started to listen and follow him. And you became part of that little flock that I just read about to you earlier. You became the remnant. So Yeshua states that though his sickness was not unto ultimate death, it was for the glory of his Father, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. That's him. He's talking about himself. So the restoration of faith in Yahweh through Yeshua among the remnant of Israel indeed glorified his Father and testified once and for all who Yeshua was, the Son of the living God and bringer of salvation. So that's what John 11:4-6 mean for you. Right? There's a lot. These things go deep. I could go even deeper, but I ain't finna tread that deep. I'm not trying to hit y'all with a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just trying to keep it a little bit, just so you guys can kind of understand the deeper meaning of it. But just know this stuff can go deeper if you wanted to. Now, as we keep going back to John 11, and we read verses 7 through 10 here, we read more of the story.
Then after that, let us go into Judea again. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again?
Yep.
Jesus answered, Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of the world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there's no light.
He stumbleth because there is no light in him. Now, what did he just say in verse 9? He said, are there not 12 hours in the day? Why do we got people saying there's 24 hours in a day? He said there's 12 hours in a day because the day and the night are two separate things. All right? Well, we still got people who think nighttime is daytime. We got people who still celebrating the Sabbath starting at Friday sunset. How can you do that? That's not the day. He just told you there's 12 hours in a day. But I'm about to tell you what these 12 hours meant, right? I'm about to tell you what they meant. See, the 12 hours here, they represent, well, who else? The 12 tribes of Israel. Why? Because Yeshua said that while he was still on a mission to whom? The 12 tribes, represented by the daylight hours. He will be protected from harm. So as long as he's on this mission, trying to go and save the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he will be protected. That's why he was not scared to go back to Judea, where they tried to stone him. And if we were, we finished off in the previous chapter, they were trying to stone him back in John chapter 10. Because he was hitting them with that. He was hitting them with spiritual truth after spiritual truth. So they wanted to stone this man. So they're like, man, you want to go back there again? They tried to stone you, but he's like, man, as long as I'm on this mission to the 12 tribes, I will be protected. That's the faith that we must have in the Father as well in 2023. You cannot be scared of man. We cannot be scared of all these other people because they look dangerous or they're powerful. We all understand the Most High is the one who's powerful. The Most High allows people to do things. Without his power, we would be powerless. We are nothing but clay. Remember that, my brethren. We are nothing but clay. Right? So he still had work to do before his appointed night or death would come. Right? So if we go to John, skip over 2 chapters, he'll tell you exactly what he meant there. Again, that's John 9, verse 4. Jesus himself tells you exactly what he means.
I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work.
When he's dead. When he's dead. He's telling you about his death right there in there. Same thing he's talking about here. So he also refers to Lazarus as our friend who has fallen asleep. Calling Lazarus a friend conveys Israel's special relationship with the Most High. Even though we erred greatly as a people by not following his law, statutes, and commandments, breaking the covenant as our ancestors did, and as we did in our time as well. We continued to break before we came into this truth. We were all sinners. We broke the covenant. We reap what we sow. Right? So the sleep here that he's talking about is a metaphor for death that implies an awakening is possible. So the disciples, they misunderstood at first, thinking Yeshua means a normal sleep, as we read later on in this chapter. But then he plainly tells them Lazarus is dead. So the lack of understanding foreshadows how the disciples would also not fully comprehend it. So this basically means that even though they was close to Yahusha, Even though we got a lot of Israelites out there who claim to be Israel, right? They still don't see spiritually. They are still carnal. They are still of this world. We've got many people amongst us. Many people that is amongst us that what? That say they're Israel, claim from, proclaim from the mountaintops how they love their people. But what are they doing behind closed doors? Wickedness. And the same thing for the disciples here. They didn't do no wickedness, but they still did not comprehend what Yahushua was even saying because they did not have the Spirit just yet. Because remember, the Holy Spirit had not come yet. And that was going to give them the understanding at the day of Pentecost. So this is why they could not understand what Yahushua was saying spiritually, as we're going to read. Right? So we go down and we read verses 11 through 15 here, where they're going to stumble.
These things said he, and after that he saith unto them, our Lord sleepeth, but I go, that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking a rest in sleep. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him.
So as we look deeper into these couple of verses here, Yahushua states, as I said earlier, he's fallen asleep. And he's directly referring to death being called sleep until what? The resurrection. Right? Because that is what we're when we fall asleep. Our ancestors before, they're quote unquote asleep or dead, and they're awaiting the awakening, the first resurrection, which is going to occur when the Most High comes back the second time. So by him saying this set the stage for what he was really about to do, which was what? Overcome the power of death in the most dramatic sign possible. He was going to awake a Lazarus from dead. Never been done ever up until this point. Never been done. He was going to do that so he can set in stone without a shadow of a doubt who he is and what he has come to do. So the disciples, again, they misunderstood, thinking he was referring to regular sleep. And so, like I said before, it represents how even his closest followers at times did not fully comprehend the spiritual truths and foreshadowings he conveyed. This is why we, as Israelites today, we must, when we read this book, we must try to find what the true meaning of these verses mean. Because a lot of our people just read this book carnally, like it's a story, like it's a Harry Potter novel or something. They just read it carnally. But this entire book is spiritual. You got to understand what is the spiritual meanings of these verses. Because all these verses, they all have their own hidden meanings. And the Most High has obscured. So only the people that he wants to see the mystery can see the mystery. So this is why he is allowing me to convey these said mysteries to you. So that way you can start reading the book the same way that I read the book and try to interpret or try to understand the book on a more spiritual level instead of a carnal level. Right? So again, Yahushua just said straight up to him that he's dead, meaning the time for the symbolic speech was past, and he was making it crystal clear what the forthcoming miracle signified, which was conquering death itself. He's going to swallow up death in victory, like he's going to do it when he comes back, because there's going to be no more death when he comes back. That's done. So no longer any confusion with what was to occur went far beyond curing illness or infirmity. As I've told you, this is a whole big picture that the Most High was trying to convey. So he uses his opportunity to further teach them that he was glad not to have been near to prevent Lazarus' death. And most people would see this like, that's kind of rude. That's kind of strange to say that. To think that, he didn't want to be there. Or you wasn't trying to help your friend. That's what most people would think if they see something like that. Well, that's kind of rude. However, if we look deeper, it represents that Yeshua allowed the full extent of death to take place. Because as we're going to read about, Lazarus is going to be dead for a while before he came there. Right? And the reason why he did that, because he was dead, he's going to be dead for 4 days, guys, to signify the completeness of death. To what? Maximize the glory of his Father that would be revealed through the ensuing resurrection miracle. So the Most High allowed him to die. And this goes to show you the sovereignty of the Most High. He allows you to die. You don't die until he tells you to. You could live until you're 1,000,000 years old, 2 billion years old, don't matter. When the Most High wants you dead, that's when you're going to die. So he allowed Lazarus to die. Just like a lot of people are born blind back in then. They were born blind, or they couldn't walk, they couldn't talk, they couldn't hear, they were deaf. The Most High allowed those people to be born that way, or allowed those inflictions to happen to them. Why? So Jesus come along and manifest his works and take away their infirmity, their sickness. He allowed Lazarus to die to maximize the effect. Because when you see somebody get brought back from the dead, you're going to believe. Without a shadow of doubt, okay, this man, all right, yeah, he God. Yep, he's son of God right there. Yes, sir. So he allowed him to die so they can see the sign, right? Because the raising of one dead so long would stand as ultimate proof and glory of his power as creator over death. So just as his own crucifixion culminated in resurrection and victory, so too would this act demonstrate complete authority was given to him by the Father to overcome the grave. He was showing them, hey, I can do this. Why? Because I'm going to die, and I'm going to get raised back up again after 3 days and 3 nights. So it gave the true depth of the sign that could leave no doubt in the beholders, the people who were there to witness it, such a profound miracle. And so Yahusha then states that through the miracle, his Father's name will be glorified and his Son lifted up. And glorified refers here not just to be praised, but made known in the full weight and the wonder of who he was declared by prophets. Remember, all throughout the scriptures, they were talking about him. The entirety of Isaiah 53 talks about him. He's been prophesied all throughout the scriptures. And now here he is doing exactly what he was prophesied to do. And now with this culmination, bringing Lazarus from the dead, that's going to truly show that he was the Messiah. All right. So as we continue down, and we just read one verse in verse 16.
Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him.
So I only asked to get that one scripture to be read right now, because I want to show you just how deep some of this stuff goes. Watch this. So on the surface, he's like, okay, let us also go. We may die with him. Now, from the surface level, what does that look like? That look like somebody who's trying to go commit some suicide or something, martyrdom, right? Just to go straight into the battle and just die, right? But there's deeper meanings to this. Now, the name Thomas means twin in Aramaic, right? In Aramaic, that's what Thomas means. So he is symbolic. So Thomas himself is symbolic of the remnant of believers. That's us today and other Israelites, all throughout the other generations who were part of the remnant, because there was always a remnant in every generation of Israelites. So he's symbolic of the remnant of believers within Israel who recognized Yeshua as the Messiah. Though we be small in number as we are today, we are small in number. Our faith was what? Unshakable, and was willing to follow him even unto death. And if we go to Revelations 2:10, watch this. Revelation 2:10. Read this on how we are supposed to be as believers in this walk.
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou fearful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
So back then, because this is talking back to the churches at the time, this already happened here. So thrown in prison and suffer persecution for 10 days. Already happened because he was talking to the churches at that time. That's what's going to happen when they were spreading his word. They was going to get thrown in jail. Paul was thrown in jail a lot. Peter was thrown in jail, right? So you're talking to the churches. But this is what we go through as a walk. We got to be fearful unto death. We got to fear the Most High unto death. And how do we fear him? We follow his laws and statutes and commandments. We love him and we love our brothers and sisters. That is how we walk. We do not hate our people. We do not hate the Most High. We love. That's what the commandments stand for. We love. Instead of loving other nations as we do, we love being around these other nations. We love hanging out with them. We love them more than our own people. I mean, just go out and look at our people. Holding hands in hands with the heathen at the mall, movie theaters, anywhere you go, restaurants, laughing with them, all this stuff. But their brother, nope, they would not do that. One that looked like them, no, they won't do that. Fellow Israelites, no, we hate them. We got smoke for them. But when the other nations start talking, we silent. We shut up. We're not supposed to be that way. So this verse again, this states that Thomas said to the fellow disciples, implying he was encouraging them to accompany Yeshua despite the risks. Because remember, they said they're going to try to stone you again. So they were obviously probably scared because they didn't want to get stoned to death. But Thomas is here to tell them, hey, if this is what's going to have to happen, it's going to happen. Because Judea was hostile territory for Yeshua, as we read all throughout his ministry. They tried to stone him every time he came up in there. Because these religious elite were always plotting to kill him because he was trying to take away their power, trying to take away their prestige, trying to take away their authority amongst the people. They love them high seats, just like our people today. Look at the celebrities. Look at Steve Harvey and the like. Look at them, boy. They love sitting next to Master. They love it. They wouldn't give it up for the world. That's exactly how the Pharisees were. Anytime somebody tried to take their shine, try to take their glory away from them, they wanted to kill them. It's like our people today. Right? And why was it so hostile? Well, if we go to John 7:1, we can read it. John 7:1. Watch it. This is why it was always so. This is how it was so hostile for Yeshua.
After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him.
Jewry, another word for Judea. That's why he didn't want to go up in there. It's hostile territory. That's like going in your enemy land over and over again, and they try to kill you. But these are his own people that look like him, right? So Thomas was trying to rally the disciples together in unity, solidarity. That's how we're supposed to be in this walk. We're always supposed to encourage each other. When we get down in the dumps, your brother and sister is supposed to be there to pick you up and encourage you to continue walking despite the risks, despite your family exiling you, despite your friends exiling you. You're still supposed to walk this walk. Do not let that get you downtrodden. You stay on the path. You keep walking with the Most High, despite the risk. This is what Thomas was trying to tell him. So as the Yeshua's quote-unquote twin, his spiritual kin, that is, due to believing he was the son of the Most High, Thomas was ready to die for him, if need be. And this reflects the faith and loyalty of the minority of Israelites at that time and today, who accept that Yeshua is the Messiah in the face of rejection from the majority of our own people. And if we go down to Romans 9, if we go over to Romans 9 and 27, watch what Paul says here. He's going to tell you about this remnant in Romans 9 and 27.
Esaias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved.
A remnant. Yes, though Israel be numerous, a lot of them, as there are today, there's a lot of us, only a remnant shall be saved. That is the reality of the situation. Some of your family members may not make it to the kingdom. And that's something you're going to have to accept. Yes, we love our family, of course. But you have to accept that a lot of them ain't going to make it. A lot of our people ain't going to make it. And that's what is being said here. That's why we know how serious this word is. So Thomas's statement, that one little statement he made, can be seen as what? A courageous pledge that wherever Yeshua went, including dangerous Judea, his disciples will go to as a testament of their devotion to him. Though small in number, like Thomas, remember he only had 12 disciples, they were tightly knit in the faith. And if we go to 1 Corinthians 16 and 13 and read, this tells you how to be when you're in this walk. Again, that's 1 Corinthians 16 and 13. What does our brother Paul got to say?
Watch ye, stand fast in the faith, quit like you mean, like men, be strong.
All praises. You could silence your phone because I'm hearing like stuff through your.
I got you, brother.
All right. So this verse also foreshadows what? The willing martyrdom, willing to die for Christ, that many of Yeshua's followers would face for proclaiming his gospel after his resurrection. Even we today, we face this type of persecution from our people. So tradition holds that Thomas himself traveled far to share the faith. And they say he was martyred in India. That's what scholars have said. That's how Thomas died in India. I don't know. I don't care about all them other books, but that's what they say. Just wanted to kind of tell you what this faith can lead to. You may have to die for the truth. And that's something you have to accept in your heart. You got to die for Christ. Because guess what? You're going to get that crown. We saw it in Revelation 2:10. It says, be fearful unto death so you can get a crown. That's your victory. Even in death comes victory. So do not be scared when these people are going to try to kill you for proclaiming Yahushua as the Messiah. Do not be afraid when your family tries to excommunicate you because you are preaching this gospel. You continue in the faith. Stand 10 toes down for the Most High. This is what you do. So rather than pessimism, as most people would see when they read Thomas's words, his words conveyed steadfast courage and allegiance to Yeshua in the midst of opposition, even being ready to die alongside him if need be, to carry out the Father's will. And it reflects the spirit of us today as believers within Israel. To stand firm, to be courageous, even unto death. All right, brother, now you got some good reading going. I want you to go back to John 11. We're going to read 17 to 27, straight through.
17 to what?
27. 17 to 27. Mm-hmm.
Then when Jesus came, he found out that he had lain in the grave for 4 days already. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother.
Mm-hmm.
Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary still sat in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said unto her, thy brother shall rise again.
Mm.
Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and
Mm-hmm.
the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live.
Mm.
And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die.
Mm-hmm.
Believest thou this? She said unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should
Mm-hmm.
come into the world.
Yes, sir. We all know that world is Israel. Yeah. That's the world he came to. Because that's the only people he came to. That's the only people he known. Because remember, this is the same God of the Old Testament that gave the commandments to Israel. This man right here, come down in the flesh. So he only knows Israel. So when he came into the world, he's talking about Israel, right? So this passage here that we just read, now it provides important context. Well, what kind of context? Well, we see Yahusha arriving after Lazarus has already been dead 4 days. So the people lamenting and mourning reflects what? The grief over the spiritual condition. Because as I told you, who Lazarus represented, he represented the northern tribes, right? So the people lamenting and mourning reflects a grief over the spiritual condition of the lost northern tribes of Israel, who had departed from following the Most High's laws for so long. And at that time, they were completely not even following it. Some of them probably were, as we know about Cornelius and all the other ones who were in the faith as well. They were following it. So some, I believe some were of the Northern Kingdom were following, but the majority of them did not follow, like our people today. Right? So Martha goes out to meet Yeshua. Now I told you about Martha, she represents Judah, right? Earlier on. So by her going out to meet Yeshua, what did that do? That indicated that Judah took the lead in seeking the Messiah. And if we go over and read this very important scripture, if we go to Genesis 49 and verse 10.
What book is that?
Genesis 49 and verse 10.
Okay. Genesis 49.
What does it say about Judah? Because this is all talking about Judah.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
See, Martha going out to meet Yeshua, because Judah had to be, they were in the land when Yeshua came. So that's what it's talking about. That's why I said Martha represents Judah. And then Mary represented the other two tribes. Now, Martha's regret that we read, that Yeshua did not come sooner, well, what does that mean? It echoes that Israel's longing for the Messiah to come and restore them before the kingdom divided and deterioration of sin set in. So her statement, even now, I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you, shows that she believed that Yeshua had power from on high. Because remember, she believed that he was the Son of God. Even if she did not even fully understand his identity just yet. Right? So Yeshua declares in these verse passages here, he declared what? That he is the resurrection and the life, identifying himself as the long-awaited Messiah with power over death itself, able to revive and restore Israel spiritually through faith in him. And that is how the northern kingdom was able to come back in. It's through this faith. When he shed his blood, it allowed the northern kingdom to come back to the covenant, to come back into the commonwealth of Israel, to rejoin their brethren, the southern kingdom, in faith in Christ. Because he is a partition. It was his death that allowed the northern kingdom to come back. So Martha confesses he is the Christ, the Son of the Most High, signifying that Judah recognized and accepted him as the promised Messiah despite his humbler circumstances. Because remember, he didn't come with power. If you read Isaiah 53, he did not come in power. He was humble. He did not lift up his voice. He didn't shout. He didn't condemn anything. He came to die. He came as a humble servant. So a lot of our people couldn't believe in him because they were more focused on the appearance. They figured if they saw the Messiah, he was going to be some powerful figure who's going to come there and kill the Romans and give the command back to them over the nations, as it was back then with King David and Solomon, when Israel was above all the other nations and we ruled the whole world. So that's who they thought the Messiah was going to be. But Yahushua did not come that way because he did not want praise. He came to die for his people. He didn't want glory. He didn't want to take any glory from his Father. So he came humble. This is why whenever he did his miracles, he always ducked out of there. So he didn't get the credit. He didn't care about the credit. He just wanted to make the works of his Father manifest, to bring believers to him. Right? So, Martha, she did not comprehend the fullness of his identity and his mission until he called Lazarus out of the tomb after 4 days deceased. So as we see, she knows he's got power, but she still don't know who he is yet, which is why he's going to use this miracle to finally show once and for all who he is. So this miracle was meant to conclusively demonstrate for all who was there Yeshua's power as the divine Messiah with authority over life and death. So again, as I mentioned earlier, by delaying until Lazarus was truly dead and buried, the scene was powerfully set for Yeshua to manifest his glory as the resurrection and the life in the most dramatic way possible. So raising Lazarus after 4 days, as we're going to see, was meant to glorify his Father and create belief in who Yeshua was based on the undeniable witness of this unprecedented sign. I mean, like I told you, man, none of you have ever seen somebody being resurrected from the dead, but they did. That goes to show just how unbelieving a lot of our people were. They saw this, and some of them still didn't believe, as you will read. So just as Lazarus was resurrected, the spiritually dead northern kingdom would be revived and restored through believing Yeshua is the Messiah, the Son of God, through what? Faith. So that's what these particular verses meant. It's got a whole, it's all deep, very deep. So as we go back to John 11 and we continue down, we read verses 28 through 32 to glean some more spiritual goodness out of this story. Again, 28 through 32, brother.
And when she had said so, she went her way and called secretly, saying, "The master is come, and calleth for thee." As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Jesus was not yet coming into the town, but was in that place where the Jews then which were with her in the house and comforted her, when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, She goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then, when Mary was come where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died.
Look at that. So in these verses here, Martha goes to meet Yeshua after receiving the word that he was coming. Right? So again, as I told you, Martha represents the tribe of Judah, who occupied the southern kingdom after Israel divided following Solomon's reign. Now, Judah maintained worship in the temple at Jerusalem and continued following Yah's laws more faithfully than their northern brethren. So when Martha hears Yeshua's coming, she goes to meet him, while Mary, which represents the other southern tribes of Levi and Benjamin, remains in the house. Again, that signifies that Judah took the lead in seeking and recognizing the Messiah. As we read in Genesis 49, why? Because the scepter shall not depart from Judah. And of course, the scepter, which is power, it's also talking about the Messiah himself. Right? Because didn't he come from the house of Judah? Yes, he did.
Yes, he
So
did.
Martha's statement, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Again, as I said earlier, reflects Israel's longing for the Messiah's arrival to restore and reunite the kingdom before that deterioration set in. Right? So that is what her statement meant. Now, Yeshua assured her that her brother is going to rise again, and that conveyed hope of the northern kingdom's redemption and restoration. So Martha misunderstands, thinking he means at the last day. But he clarifies, I am the resurrection and the life, as we saw earlier, affirming that he was the Messiah with power over life and death itself. So when Yeshua asked Martha if she was the Christ, she replies, yes. And that signifies Judah again recognized and accepted Yeshua as the Messiah. And then finally, Martha returns secretly to tell Mary the teacher is here and is calling for you. As mentioned, Mary represents the faithful remnant of Levi Benjamin who received Yeshua. And the secrecy here, this is big, reflects the little flock who recognized him as the good shepherd, even when the majority did not. See, small little things like this signifies a bigger thing. You see, it was a secret. Because remember, as Yahusha spoke to the people, what did he do? He spoke to them in what? Parables. Because he didn't want everybody to know the secrets. But who did he tell? He told his disciples, right? The meaning behind those parables. Goes to show you that a lot of our people, the Most High don't want them to know about this gospel. At least not yet. Because it took a lot of us decades of being on this planet for us to get the word, right? It took me 34 years for me to receive this word. Before that, I was all in sin, breaking the commandments and everything. And for a lot of you guys, some of y'all are older than me. So it took even a lot longer. It goes to show you that the Most High works on his own timing. Which goes to show you we don't give hope. We don't give up hope on our brethren. Because at any time, the Most High can rouse up their spirit and have them seek Christ and join him as part of the remnant. Because as we read earlier, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. As we read earlier in Luke 12:32, that's what it means. They recognize him as the good shepherd. Remember, we are the sheep, as we learned last week in John 10. We are the sheep. We are. So when Mary came to him, she fell at his feet, conveying reverence. But when he saw her weeping alongside the Jews who followed her, he was deeply removed. Why? Because it reflected his heart for all his lost sheep of Israel to return to him through the Messiah. So that's how the Most High here. That's why he was troubled. That's why he was weeping. As we're going to see here. If we continue down in verses 33 to 37, we're going to see why he was weeping.
Got you, brother. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled, and said, Where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, Behold how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should not have died? Jesus, therefore, again groaning in himself, cometh to the grave.
You good right there.
It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it.
You good right there. Yeah. I just wanted you to read 37 to 37. It's all good.
Okay.
So as I said, he saw her weeping. He was troubled because these are his people that are crying. These are his covenant people, Israel, that's crying. So of course he's gonna weep because he loves his people, despite us sinning all over the place and wickedness and following pagan traditions. Even to now, the Most High still loves us. Even though he beats our head in every now and again, he still loves us. He could have killed us a whole long time ago. He could have killed us in the wilderness, as he said he wanted to do. But Moses interceded for us. He could have killed us many times over. But he loves us that much that he does not do that. So, of course, he's crying because he's seeing his people crying. So he asked, where they had laid Lazarus. It says, come and see. And this shows that while many continued mourning the fallen state of Israel, they still recognize Yeshua's power to do something about it. That's the faith. That is the faith. But as you can see, they saw him. They saw Yeshua in the flesh. We don't see him. We can't see Yahushua walking around. We don't see him. But yet we're still commanded to keep the same faith as our brethren or our ancestors did back in his day. So we still have to have this same faith that we believe that the words in this book is absolutely unequivocally true. That's how we must come at this. You got to believe the book. A lot of people look at the book, but they don't believe the book. They read these scriptures, but they don't believe it because it doesn't go with what they pastor say. Well, my pastor don't say this don't mean that. He said this mean this. They don't believe the book. They'll believe a man over the book. This is what the church has done to our people. They have scattered the flock of the Most High and have allowed these wolves, these other nations, to eat us up because we were told ignorance. And through our ignorance, the other nations have been beating us over the head. They have been manipulating us. They've been gaslighting us for centuries. Or millennia, really. Because of the ignorance our pastors, these false preachers, have wrought in the people. They still say, oh, all these people in here, these are white people. These ain't no white people. These are all black people. These Israelites, black people. Look just like you and me. But they love Massa so much, these preachers do. They would dare not usurp the power of their master, the one who's signing their checks. So they preach on this crappy doctrine, this prosperity doctrine. Sow a seed, sow a seed. And with that seed, they're buying luxury jets, mansions, multiple cars. Have you seen the lifestyle of these so-called preachers? They look like celebrities out there. But yet the people in their congregation are suffering. They hungry for spiritual knowledge, but they are not given any. They're not given any. They are being starved spiritually, but yet the people stay. But yet the people stay. Ignorance. Ignorance. Anywho, as we see that Jesus weeping, despite knowing he would raise Lazarus and glorify the Most High, he still grieved over the devastation that death and sin, because remember, death and sin came into the world through Adam of disobedience. Correct? And the same death and sin is still passing through Israel because of what? Continued disobedience. Even though he had to beat them over and over again, just like a father does, or a mom does when you have to beat your kids, you still love them despite beating them. I know we've all got lots of butt whoopings. I know I did. I've got the marks to prove it. But guess what? Did our parents love us any less? No. I remember sometimes my mom would come in there and she would hug me. Tears still running down my face. I still got the welts. Still present. I'm still sore. And she would come and she would hug me and she would say, I still love you. But I had to do it. But I still love you. And she would give me a kiss and she would stand there and she would go back out and leave me there. That's how the Most High is about his people. Even though we are dying in the streets, even though we have been beaten over the head time and time again, he still loves us. That is something I want you guys to understand as a people. He still loves you. You may have some obstacles that come in your way. The Most High may put some trials and tribulations your way, but guess what? It's because he loves you and he wants you to be the very best. He wants you to go to your destiny. He's trying to get you to where you need to be. He sees your potential. He's trying to get you to realize your potential. This is why he does the things that he do to us. Look at the things we've done ahead in our lives and look at us today. Look at where he has led us. I should have been in prison twice. But it was the power of the Most High that did not allow me to go. And guess what he did? He steered me down this path to where I am today. To where now I am teaching you. I never thought I would be a teacher. I ain't want to be no teacher. I just wanted to get this word and just live it and then be, basically a wallflower, just be in the back, chilling. That's how I looked when I came into this word. But the Most High said, nope, I got something better for you. Look what he's blessed me with. A congregation. I didn't want this when I first came in. I didn't think I was ever going to do this. But look at the knowledge he's given me. I've got more knowledge than people who have been in the truth for years, decades longer than me. I've been in the truth for 3.5 years. And I know more than some people who've been in the truth for 20. What did that tell you? That's the power of the Most High. That's love. I was an atheist before this, as you guys probably know by now. But for the newcomers, before I came into the truth, I was an atheist. I didn't believe in the Most High. Now, I came up in the church because my mom, she was the daughter of a preacher. So I came up in the church. But up until about age 12, when we went into middle school, we stopped going to church. And at that point, that's when the heathen got me. They got me, and boy, did they not let go. Until the point where I became agnostic first. Like, yeah, I believe there's something there, but I don't know what it is. To the point I became an atheist. And even, almost even, my brethren, almost even, I almost became a Luciferian. I almost sold my soul to the devil. Almost! I was 2 steps away. But that is when the Most High called me out. At that point, he started working. He took me away from the grips of Satan, and he brought me over to his marvelous light, like he did Paul, who was a murderer of the Jews. He killed his people. And then on that way to Damascus, he blinded his behind. Had him blind on the ground. Couldn't see. Now, the people who saw it, they heard a voice, but they couldn't see nothing. But Paul saw it. He heard him. He heard the voice. He heard him. And at that point, that was Paul's awakening. And look what Paul ended up being. Everybody know who Paul is. 2,700 years later, everybody know who Paul is. So just because we've had rough beginnings, we've had rough paths that we've all lived, despite all of that, the Most High had a plan for you. The Most High was working his plan for you. Since the foundation of the world, he had you in his plan. And he was going to work a good and for you to be a part of this remnant that's going to make it to the kingdom. Even though you sinned, even though you did bad things, or as me, even though you didn't even believe. Now I do. And now here I am teaching you the word of the Most High. I didn't know this Bible from a hole in the ground 3.5 years ago. I attempted to try to read it over the years. I just couldn't get it. I would fall asleep every time because y'all didn't want me to get it just then. He waited to the last possible moment where I was about to almost be a devil worshiper to pull me from the abyss onto this narrow path where you guys, I'm pretty sure a whole lot of you didn't realize that this was on your path. I can say for certain that most of you did not know that you would be here at this point in time today. I know I wasn't.
Same here.
That goes to show the power of the Most High. He is the one that brings you from the abyss, not of your own works, as the Pharisees thought, but of between him. He, his Father, brings you, draws you to his Son. We don't repent on our own. The Father draws you to the Son and allows you to repent. The flesh is enmity toward the Most High. We know this if we read the book. We can't glorify the Most High in our flesh. We can only do it in the Spirit. And how the only way we're going to get in that Spirit is by being drawn by the Father to the Son. That's love. That's why Christ wept. Love for his people. So the Jews rightly remark, see how he loved them, as we read. And that affirms Christ's deep love, the Hamashiach's deep love and compassion for Israel, his chosen people, this black people that's getting beat in the head every day. He loves you. He loves you. Because why? Because he felt their suffering deeply. Why? Because he's the one who inflicted it, which moved him to deliver them through his work of what? Redemption. If it wasn't for Christ, we'd all be going to the lake of fire. We were on an express train to the lake of fire when we broke the covenant. Our ancestors broke the covenant. Christ had to come and die, or else we would have all been in the lake with the snake. So now that you are out of the abyss, it is your duty, it is your job to what? To be a light to your brothers, to your sisters who are lost, despite their life choices, despite the sin that they're in, despite the wickedness that they're in. You are supposed to be a light to them. So that way, when the Most High rouses their spirit, they know who to come to and ask questions. So yes, they may not believe now, but that should not discourage you from still living the way Christ wants you to live, to be what? An example. Why? Because he was an example for us, for how we are supposed to live. When he came here, he showed himself to be the example for every one of the remnant of Israel that believe in him, even today unto 2023. You supposed to follow after his example. So the way he lived, you live. So when you got people out there who say they love Christ, they love his law, statutes, and commandments, then they should have some works. They should have some fruit that shows this. But a lot of our people, they say they love Christ. They say they love his laws, statutes, and commandments. They say they love their brothers and sisters. But what do their works say? What does the fruit that they bear say? It says the opposite. They are still in the background betraying their people, betraying you. Look at the false preachers. Look at T.D. Jakes. He's supposed to be telling his people the truth. He's supposed to be telling them, hey, you Israel. What is he doing? Sow a seed. Sow a seed. Monologuing for 2 hours. I don't know if you ever catch a T.D. Jakes sermon, but it's basically, it might as well be a movie. This dude does not open the Bible, maybe but one time. And then the rest of the time, monologue. And then guess what? That offering plate comes on around. Give up the money. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give me your money. That's how they do it. That's how you know they don't love their people, because they don't tell them the truth. The Most High says this, if you know the truth shall what? Set you free. And who's the truth? Who's the way? Who's the light? Jesus, Christ, Yah, whatever you want to call him. That is the truth. You're supposed to preach the truth, that he came for his people. He died for his people and his people only, Israel, these black people that's suffering all around the world today. So, as we see earlier, later on in 37 here, what does this say here? But some of them said, could not he open the eyes of the blind man, also have kept this man from dying? You see the doubt? Some still doubt it. Reflects what? The lingering unbelief, even among Israel, despite witnessing, they saw it. Yeshua's miracles first, and they saw his miracles. They saw him open up the blind, making the blind see again. They saw a crippled man walk again. And they still did not believe. But ironically, Yeshua was about to do something even greater than keeping Lazarus from dying. He was about to raise him back to life after 4 days in this tomb. And this was meant as the ultimate proof, as I said earlier, to eliminate all doubts. There should be not a single doubt left who this man is. So as we continue reading, I want you to go ahead and read verses 38 and 39 for me.
38 and 39.
Yes, sir.
Jesus, therefore, again groaning in himself, cometh to the grave.
Yes.
It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus said, take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh. For he hath been dead 4 days.
But let's see the deepness behind this. I'm about to show you something. Right now.
Uh-oh.
So Yeshua instructs them to remove the stone, but like Martha said, nah, it's gonna be, he stank. I ain't trying to smell that. He stank. Nah. But watch this. Jesus said, take away the stone, woman. Watch this. So this little exchange, right? It highlights what? The sealed tomb. I'm about to show you something. The sealed tomb represents Israel in a spiritually dead state, buried in sin, apart from the light of the Most High's truth, with no hope of revival after centuries of rebellion and idolatry. That's why the tomb, that's why the stone was in front. You were buried. As we read earlier in Ephesians 2, they were buried. You were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of power of the air, that's the devil, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, that's the spirit of disobedience there, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by the nature children of wrath. That's Ephesians 2, 1 through 3. That was us. Before we came into the truth, what were we doing? We once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind. We did what we wanted to do. At the Most High, we did what we wanted to do. Don't bring that Bible to me. I don't believe in that Bible. That's a white man book. I don't believe in them fairy tales. Get that Sky Daddy away from me. Isn't that how we were? That's how I was. My brother would come to me, try to tell me about him. I'd be like, nah, bro, get them fairy tales away from me. If I want to read a fairy tale, I'll go open up a Dr. Seuss book. I said that word for word. I said those things. Abominable things. But yet, here I am today. Look at me today. I'm a preacher of this word. It ain't nothing but the Most High, Yah. He brings the blessings. Even though we cursed as a nation worldwide, even though we are cursed as a nation, the Most High can bring blessings upon you individually. So when you have come into this truth, you guys, those curses stopped becoming a thing. And guess what? The Most High started what? Showering you with what? Blessings. You're getting wisdom. You're getting knowledge. You're getting understanding. That is a blessing, because the most of the world does not understand what this book entails. They think this is a global book for everybody. But we know that this book is only for one people. It's only about one people. It's written by one people. Israelites. Black people. And no, not all black people are Israel. As we know, the Hamites, they black. So you got to differentiate who's an Israelite or not. Because a lot of the heathens, they like to group all black folks into one. That is not the case. We are set apart, even amongst other black people. There's other Shemites out there who are not of Israelite seed. They're black, but they're not Israelites. So we must discern. Because everybody's trying to claim to be us nowadays, as we can see today with those people over there. So removing the stone, right? Because he's about to come out. So removing this stone and unbinding Lazarus, what does that represent, as we're going to see? Read on, brother. Verses 40, 41.
Jesus said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldst believe, thou shouldst see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. Mm-hmm. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me.
So you're about to remove this stone now, right? And Lazarus is about to come on out of here after he calls for him. And what does that do? What does that represent? It represents the Most High removing the obstacles to Israel recognizing that Yeshua was the Messiah, and for them to come into the light of his truth of what? Redemption. So Martha fears Lazarus' body, as we said earlier, totally decayed after 4 days, just as Israel had descended deep into spiritual darkness and death over centuries without the Most High's truth to guide them, as we see with the Northern Kingdom. Remember them? Everybody keeps forgetting about them. They gone. They don't have the Most High. They in these Gentile lands, living like the Gentiles, thinking that they Gentiles, naming their kids like Gentiles. A lot of us got Gentile names. My name's William. That's as Gentile as it gets. Right? So we didn't have his truth. And why didn't we have his truth? Well, let's go over to 1 John 5 and read verse 19. Why did we not have this truth to guide us? Let John tell you. Again, 1 John chapter 5, verse 19. Watch this.
And we know that we are of God, and the whole world lieth in wickedness.
That is why we can't have. That's why we didn't have the Most High's truth. Because this wickedness spread throughout Israel. And it continues to spread throughout our people today. Look at our people today. Y'all see it. You see him walking around. We got dudes 40, 50 years old still sagging their pants.
Jeez.
Still thugging it out. Still thinking they part of the clique, throwing up gang signs. 50 years old still doing this. We got older women still twerking. They out there twerking. Old women. Seeing grandmas out there twerking. What's going on? As you can see, don't matter how old you get, that wickedness never leaves. If the Most High does not bring his spirit into you, it never goes away. It is until he brings this word and cleanses you with the word that you are made whole again, that your sins are blotted out, and you are made a new creature in Christ. But until then, that is what our people, will be in wickedness. But again, Yahushua is about to prove that no one is beyond hope or his power to resurrect and restore to life, as he's about to do with Lazarus here. So by demonstrating his power over life itself, he will compel many to recognize his divinity and redeeming mission as Messiah. And how do we know this? Well, let's skip over a couple chapters. Let's go to John 20 and read verse 31 for me.
Stand by.
Again, that's John 20, people. Verse 31.
But these are written that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye might have life through his name.
That is why he's doing these things. See, he did those miracles so our people would believe in him. But we don't got those miracles today. So what do? Well, these are written so you may believe that Jesus is the Christ. So now we got to read this book and we got to acknowledge that it's true. That this person, this Christ, this Hamashiach, this Messiah that is talked about all throughout this Bible, we got to believe in him. We got to have faith that he gonna do what he said he gonna do and restore his people back to the land that is being trodden down as we speak, and bringing both the northern and the southern kingdom back together again. That, my brethren, that is why these things are written. That is why the Messiah came. So you can believe in him, so you have everlasting life. Right? So in 40, we saw that Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of the glory of God, his Father. So they removed the stone from where the tomb where Lazarus was buried. But before he raised Lazarus, Yeshua prayed. So if we go to see this prayer, it's going to be in 42. Read that for me.
And I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of thy people which stand by it, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me.
So this prayer serves multiple purposes if you look deeply. So first, it shows that we're supposed to have reliance on the Father. It shows or it models reliance on the Father. Even when Yeshua already knows the outcome, he knows Lazarus is going to be awakened. He already knows this. But it shows us that we got to be dependent, even if he knows the outcome. He already knows the outcome, but he wants you to depend on him. He wants you to ask for it. He wants you to rely on him and have faith that he going to do it, even though he already knows what the outcome is going to be. Second, prepares those witnesses at that time to what? To glorify the Father when the miracle occurs. And last, it primes them to recognize this sign, unprecedented sign, by the way, that proves Yeshua was sent by the Father as who? The Messiah. So the raising of Lazarus after the 4 days was the climatic sign meant to eliminate all doubts about his true identity and mission. And again, reiterating, by him delaying until Lazarus was truly dead, deceased and buried, the scene was powerfully set for what? The maximum demonstration of Christ's power and glory as the resurrection and the life. It's the same exact way that the Most High allows all these things to happen to you. Why? To maximize the glory. He allowed me to almost get into Luciferianism to bring me out. Why? To maximize his glory. Why? Because when I get pulled out of that, what am I going to do? I'm going to glorify him. I'm going to praise his name. I'm going to what? Give him all of my devotion, all of my faith. That is why he allows all these troubles. That's why he does not come until that last possible moment. You may think he's delaying, you may think he's late, but he is always on time. So if we go ahead and read verses 43 and 44, what does this say?
And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth.
Mm-hmm.
And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus said unto them, loose him and let him go.
So this image again conveys the spiritually dead northern kingdom, what? Emerging from bondage to sin and false beliefs after hearing the voice of the Messiah. And how did they hear the voice of the Messiah? Well, Paul and Peter brought the gospel to them. That is what this whole death and resurrection signifies. The death of the northern kingdom and the resurrection through who? Christ. He is the one that they believed in to get back into the commonwealth, to get back to following the commandments, to get back to loving their brothers and sisters. Christ was the catalyst. The word of him was the catalyst. That gospel, the good news, whatever you want to call it, that was sent to them out of the mouths of Paul and Peter through their epistles that they wrote to the so-called quote-unquote Gentiles, which was the northern kingdom Israelites that were scattered in the world. So removing Lazarus's burial wrappings, again, as I said before, represents removing the blindness and deception that led Israel astray for so long. And let's see why they were so blind. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4 and read what our brother Paul has to say about this. Why was they so blind? Again, that's 2 Corinthians. Sorry about that. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 4. Go ahead, brother.
Gotcha. In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them.
Who? The God of this world. Who's that? Satan, the devil. That's who blinded our people. That is who continually is blinding our people. Hell, the whole world, not just us, the Gentiles too. They blind. Now you got some of them who know the truth too. The Most High has got a remnant of them as well, because they're going to join us in the kingdom. Despite what a lot of other Israelites say, that it's only going to be Israelites in the kingdom. Nope. Wrong again. There are going to be other nations in there, but they are going to be our what? Servants. Just as we serve them today, they are going to serve us, but for what? Forever. Forever. That is the only difference. See, they only got a time. They have a time limit on their dominion. But our dominion is everlasting. Despite the crap that we gave the Most High, despite the things that we did, all that, in the end, we win. Champions. On top. We got the belt. We gonna run this mother. And if the heathen get out of line, they gonna be dealt with accordingly by the Most High himself. This is how it's all working out. But all these things have to come to fruition first before that happens. Scriptures have to be fulfilled. We have to get to that point. And then the Most High will come back. Like I said, the Most High, it may look like he's late, but he's always on time. Just before it gets to the worst, just before it. Don't they have a saying? It's darkest. What is it?
Darkest before the light.
There you go. Before the sun comes up, that's when it is darkest. The sky is blackest. And then guess what comes? The light. Who's the light? Christ. He gonna come. He coming. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. He coming. He coming. Don't worry about it. So by demonstrating what? His absolute authority over physical death and decomposition, because this man wasn't even decayed, Yeshua proved his supremacy over all powers, all principalities, all dominions, including what? The last enemy, which is death itself. And if we go to 1 Corinthians 15, 25 and 26, read it, my brother. Again, that's 1 Corinthians 15, 25, 26. What does our brother Paul have to say again?
For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is what? Death.
Woo! You hear that? No more death. Can you imagine that? People dying every day. There's a person dying every second. Dying every second. Can you imagine? In that day, there ain't gonna be no more death. Everybody gonna live forever. I can't fathom it. My flesh can't fathom it, but boy, my spirit get it though. My spirit understand. See, our flesh is limited, but our spirit is eternal. So our spirit understands these things. This is why you got to defeat the flesh. And your spirit has to reign over the flesh if you are to understand and discern these things when you read the Bible. You cannot read it with your fleshly eyes. You got to read it with your spiritual eyes so you can understand these things. You see these spiritual truths I'm able to give to you today? These hidden nuggets that I'm able to give you is because of my spiritual eyes being open. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Open your spiritual eyes. Pray to y'all to open your spiritual eyes so when you read this book, you can see the hidden meanings. Full of hidden meanings. Allegory, figurative language this book is. You got to understand who and what is being talked about in each verse, because each verse has its whole plethora of stories in one verse. As I kind of gave you an example from that one verse earlier in verse 16. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. So this miraculous sign again, for the last time, was meant as the climatic proof that Yeshua was the Son of God and giver of life. The long-awaited Messiah, who would conquer both sin and death through his own resurrection, providing salvation to all Israelites who believe in him. But let's move on, because there's some certain people who don't like what he's doing. So let's read about him. Let's read verses 45 to 48 in John 11. Let's read about these suckers.
Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things in which Jesus did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Look at these people. Look at these suckers. The only concern was maintaining privileged positions, which were threatened by Yeshua's authority and popularity with the people. Out of jealousy, pride, and fear of the Romans, they rejected the Messiah, who performed wonders, fulfilling prophecy before their very eyes. So rather than them accepting that raising of Lazarus had provided the undeniable proof of Yeshua's claim to be Messiah, they lamented, they cried. If we let him go on like this, everybody will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. You see this? Carnal. Flesh. All they worried about is money. All they was worried about was money. And why were they so jealous? Well, let's go to Matthew, because Matthew talks about this. Let's go to Matthew 7 and verse 29. Why were they jealous, prideful?
Can you say verse 29?
Yep, Matthew 7, verse 29.
For he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes.
See, the scribes, they taught differently than what Yahushua was teaching. He taught with authority. When these people saw him, they're like, who this man is? Why he talking like this? He's speaking like he know what he's talking about. See, the scribes didn't teach that way. Scribes were very deceptive. They made up laws. You couldn't do this on the Sabbath. They made up all the bylaws. Look what the church does. Look how many bylaws they have in the church. The only laws we got are them 10 commandments, right? But they got all these bylaws. You can't wear this color. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do that. You must do that. All these bylaws. And if you don't do them, they kick you out the church. No different than what the Pharisees did. That's why they always was hounding on Yahushua when he was doing miracles on the Sabbath day. Because they were so carnal, they didn't want to understand the spiritual aspects of why he healed on the Sabbath. All they can see is he's breaking the law. He's breaking the law. They could not understand the spiritual aspects of the law, which brought about what? Mercy, grace, and what? Justice. They only can see, oh, he broke the law. The law said don't do this, he's doing that. They were to the letter. They were closed-minded when it came to the law. You had to do it or else. This is why they hated him. Each miracle he did brought more followers to him and less power to them. less money, less influence to them. That was a threat to them. They can't have that. We run this, not this man over here. Who the hell is he? He ain't nobody. He's some carpenter. He ain't nobody. He ain't dressed like us. He doesn't talk like us. He ain't in our clique. So who the hell does he think he is? This is how our people are today. This is how our people are today. It's like when you see homeless people on the street and they preaching the word of God. Other people look at them. Who the hell are he? He don't know what he's talking about. He's some bum on the street. He don't know what he's saying. That's how people do. They look at appearance over character, over fruit, over the spirit. They look at face. They look at appearance, and they judge you accordingly. If you're not some good-looking dude or whatever, some good-looking person in general, then they think the worst of you. They put all the good qualities for good-looking people and all the negative qualities for ugly people, or who they deem ugly. We have no idea who any of these people in the Bible, what they look like. We have no idea. We don't know what Yahoo should look like. We don't know. So we have to what? We have to look at the works that they did to discern if they are a good person or a bad person, because we can't see them. So we got to discern. That's why when Yahushua had this book written, he written it the way he did. He didn't want us to see how pretty they was, how good looking they was, because why are we going to be biased toward them? So he wrote out the actions of these certain people. So that way, when we look at this, we can discern spiritually if they were good or bad. Not by what they look like, but by what they did, by what fruit they born from the tree, from their own tree. And that is how we're supposed to be towards each other. You're not supposed to look at somebody's the outward appearance. You're supposed to see what their spiritual character is. You're supposed to see the works that they do. That is how you know if somebody's of the Most High or not. You're supposed to watch what they do, not what they say. Because what people lie for no reason. They lie. When I was not in the truth, I lied for no reason at all. I didn't even have to lie most of the time, but I did it anyway. I lied so much, I forgot the lies that I was told. Lies on lies on lies. It was like an inception of lies. Don't know if y'all ever seen that movie, Inception. Good movie, by the way. But it was lies on lies on lies. I forgot the lies I even told. That's how crazy it is. That's how we are as a people in our natural state without the Most High. Lie, 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 for no reason. So that's how you're supposed to discern. You're not supposed to listen to somebody's mouth, because anybody can lie to you. You got to watch what they do. You got to. They say they're going to do something. Watch them to see if they do it. Plain and simple. That's the easiest way to discern if somebody's of Christ or not of Christ. If they're of Christ, they're going to be what? Following his work. Following his work. They're going to be following what Christ did. That's how you know. These Pharisees, they ain't of Christ, even though they taught the law on Sabbath day. They went out and did their own nonsense after Sabbath. That's why Jesus said, listen to them when they open the book of Moses. But after that, that's it. Do not follow after them, because they're going to go do some wickedness. So let's read more about them, right? Let's read more about these Pharisees again. Let's go read 49 through 52 of John 11.
And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, or that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation.
Yes. But not that nation only.
Right. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad.
Now, Caiaphas here was a high priest that fateful year when Yahushua was crucified. So as high priest, he unknowingly prophesied that Yahushua would die for the nation of Israel. Now, at this time, who was in the land to be called Israel? I want y'all to put it in the chat. Or if you guys want to unmute yourself, who was Israel at this time? If anybody want to say it.
Southern Kingdom.
There you go. That's Israel at this time. That's the nation that Caiaphas is talking about. That the whole nation perishes not. Because that was the only nation at the time. Southern Kingdom was not a nation anymore. So he's talking about Judah here in that first 40 verses 49 through 50. So he unknowingly prophesied that Yahushua would die for the nation of Israel, Southern Kingdom, so that the whole nation would not perish. Now, this symbolizes, again, how his death as the Messiah will bring salvation for all the people of Israel. That is Northern and Southern Kingdom. But see, they didn't know that at the time. He didn't even know what he was saying, but the Most High put them words in his mouth. Now let's focus on 51 and 52 real quick. He said Yahushua should die for that nation. Well, we already know that nation only, that was Judah, right? That was Southern Kingdom. But he said, and not for that nation only, but also that he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. Now, family. Who was the only people that was scattered abroad? Can anybody tell me, please? Who was the only people that was scattered abroad?
The Northern
Kingdom.
There you go. Assyria took them away about 700 years before this into the other nations. They were scattered abroad. They got some of them curses from Deuteronomy 28 being scattered. So this other people who should gather together in the one, the children of God that were scattered abroad, is talking about the Northern Kingdom. It ain't talking about Christians. Sorry, Christians. I know you guys want to be a part of the book so bad. I understand. But sorry. It's not talking about you. It's talking about Israel. Still talking about Israelites. You know, he makes it clear. Caiaphas did not even realize the full meaning of his word. This scattered children abroad refers to the Northern Kingdom Israelites who have been scattered among the nations. And how do we know they were scattered among the nations? Well, let's go and see. Let's go and see here, right? Somebody go to Jeremiah 31 and read verse 10 for me. Please, Chris, please do it for me. Read Jeremiah 31 and 10, please.
Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off. And say, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock.
Does that say Christians on there? Does that say he that scattered Christians?
Nope.
Did that say he that scattered Hinduism people or Buddhists or Islam people?
Nope.
That says Israel. I believe that's the Israel. If I can read, which I can, that says Israel. But that's Old Testament though. That's Old Testament. So let's get a second witness here. Let's go to James. Let's go to our brother James here. I want you to go to James 1, and I want you to read verse 1 for me. And see what James said here.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. And that's New Testament.
That's New Testament. That's old and new. Hello. James just picking up where Jeremiah was left off. 12 tribes. He didn't even say the northern. He said all 12 tribes were scattered. James didn't give you. James said, "Hey, I'm cutting the BS. I'm going straight to the. I'm going straight to the matter. Israel, I'm talking to you. Thank you. I'm talking to you. So if James was talking to Israelites, then who the heck was Paul and Peter writing to in their epistles? Israel. They all follow after Christ, serving the Christ. So they all got to be of what? One accord and one mind. So if James is writing to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad, then that means Paul is writing to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. And Peter is writing to the 12 tribes. But Paul specifically was writing a lot, mainly to the northern kingdom. But even then, still talking to Israel. Right? So Yahusha, he came to redeem both houses of Israel, Judah and Ephraim. And let's read it. How about that? Let's go to Ezekiel 37. You know, we got some new people on the chat and whatever. I want them to see it. I want them to see these things. So let's go to Ezekiel 37 and see what Christ came to do. We're going to read verses 15 through 19.
One of my favorite books.
Yes, sir.
The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Stop. Who's Judah? Who is Judah?
Southern kingdom.
Okay, keep going.
Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions.
Who's Joseph? Who's this Ephraim?
Northern kingdom.
Okay, keep going.
And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. Mm-hmm. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not shew us what thou meanest by these?
Show us what you're talking about, Christ. Keep going.
Say unto them, Thus say the Lord God, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim,
Northern kingdom,
and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
That's bringing them back. Now he brought them back spiritually, but he has yet to bring us back physically, and he's going to do that in his second coming, when he's going to gather us from the four corners of the earth, and he's going to have the heathen bring us over here. Just like he had them scatter us, he's going to have them gather us back into the land. We're going to become one nation again. This is why you see black folk still going at each other's throats, because of this enmity between the southern and northern kingdom. You've got us fighting over stupidity, stupid stuff. You got the Caribbean arguing with the black folk here in America. You got America arguing, the black folk in America arguing with the Israelites in Africa, and so on and so forth. That enmity is still here. It has to be destroyed, and it's going to be destroyed when Christ comes back the second time. This is what Caiaphas is talking about here in this prophecy. He don't know he's talking about it, but this is what he's talking about to the ones who are reading it. This is what he is meaning. He's bringing back the two tribes. He's bringing back the prodigal son. That's what the prodigal son story is about. Bringing back the northern kingdom to be with their brother, the elder son. That's all it's about. So in summary, this whole passage contains super rich symbolism that I have thoroughly explained about his death as the Messiah will bring redemption for all Israel, both Jews and the scattered descendants of the northern kingdom. It shows that Yahushua's mission was to gather together the children of God, unite the two houses of Israel, and bring salvation to the people of Yah, as promised since ancient times. Let's read it. Let's do it. Let's go to Isaiah 11 and 12. Let's do it. Isaiah 11 and 12. Yes, sir.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Northern, southern kingdom coming back to the land. But let's not finish there. Let Jeremiah join the party. Let's go to Jeremiah 50. And I want you to read verses 4 through 5 for me. Again, that's Jeremiah 50, 4 through 5. Let's see what he got to say.
In those days and in that time, say the Lord, the children of Israel shall come. They and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. Yes. They shall go and seek the Lord their God. They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thyward, saying, come, and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten.
Now, does that say any other nation in there? Does that say England, Britain, India, China, Japan, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Brazil, Mexico, United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, Samoa Islands, Fiji Islands, Hawaii? Are they in there? I don't see that. I just keep on seeing that pesky Israel. That pesky Israel and Judah over and over in all these prophecies. But yet we continue to hear all these other nations keep saying that everybody gonna be going. I just cannot see that. I can't read it. Maybe I don't got my glasses on. I don't wear glasses, by the way. Just saying. Maybe I can't see it. Maybe it's got like microscopic text. Maybe I need a microscope to read. Maybe it's in there in real small text that we got to zoom in to see. Or just maybe that this whole book, this perpetual covenant, is with one people that's divided into two kingdoms. I think that's the simpler one. I think that is the one that the Most High is talking about, I believe. And that is what Caiaphas was trying to tell you. Now let's finish up this book. Let's finish up this chapter. Let's read verses 53 through 57, my brother. And let's end it.
Then from that day forth, they took counsel together to put him to death. Jesus therefore walked no more openly among the Jews, but went thence unto a country near to the wilderness. Watch this now. Into a city called Ephraim.
Oh, what?
And there continued with his disciples.
No. He didn't say Ephraim. He said Ephraim.
It said into a city called Ephraim, but yet they still don't think it's just us. And the Jews' Passover was nigh at hand, and many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then sought they for Jesus, and spake among themselves as they stood in the temple, what think ye, that he will not come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment that if any man knew where he were, he should shew it, that they might take him.
So as we read before, Caiaphas prophesied unintentionally as high priest that year about Yahushua dying for the nation. Though he speaks out of unbelief, the Holy Spirit moves him to proclaim that found truth. So the nation that Jesus died for represents Israel, as I told you before. It's all about Israel. It's all Israel. All of it. Every last one. And look at this. We got Ephraim again. Why do we got Ephraim in there? What did that tell you? That his work was not just for who? Judah. But it was also for whom? Who else was this for? It was for the northern kingdom. And who was the northern kingdom called? We just read it in Ezekiel. Can somebody tell it for me, please?
Ephraim.
Oh! How hard is that, people? How come we can't see this? How come we can't see this? It's so simple. It's all so simple. It's so simple. Symbolizing his ministry to the lost sheep of the house of Israel as well. And so, with the Passover approaching, so many Jews traveled to Jerusalem as they were supposed to purify themselves. And that sets what that scene for Yahushua's final Passover week in Jerusalem. And so in Jerusalem, them Jews, they wondered if he was going to come. They wanted to see if he was going to come. They wanted to see, given their intent of the Pharisees to what? Kill him. And that builds an anticipation for Yahushua's triumphant entry into Israel or into Jerusalem. And so the chief priest ordered that anyone aware of the location should report it so they could seize him. And this goes to show you why they feared these Pharisees. They ordered anyone. See how they did it? They ordered pride. They thought they were somebody. This is why everybody was so afraid of them, because of this authority that they had. But instead of using this quote-unquote authority for the betterment of Israel, to use it to spread the gospel of the Messiah, to get people to come to the Messiah, what did they do? They usurped their own power for themselves and use it to enrich themselves and make the other people poorer and poorer. And that is what your preachers do to you. Every day you go into the pulpit, he goes to that pulpit, he is there to enrich himself. He is not there to enrich you. He's there to make sure you are in a good enough state to give over your money to him. This is why they do not preach about sins, about your sins. They don't bring up this stuff like this that I bring up about the sins of our people and the stubbornness and the hard-heartedness and the wickedness of our people. Why? Because if you did that, then nobody will want to give you money. So they got to keep on preaching all the good stuff so you can keep giving them money. And that's exactly what the Pharisees did. They abused their power. Instead of using it for good, they used it for evil. And that is what these Pharisees continue to do. And we're going to learn in the next chapter next week, y'all willing, the culmination of what this story is going to come to. We're going to see in the next chapter. But until then, I thank you guys again for joining me and listening to the word of the Most High today. I pray you guys were edified. And with that being said, I open the floor for everyone if they want to add their own stuff to what I said. If you got questions or anything like that, now is the time to ask. So the floor is yours. I mute my mic.
Oh, hey, Brother William, I got a question.
Hey, what's up, Sister Kim?
Explain to me about and you know how they say in the last days, the time would be like it would be like the days of Noah, how people, won't listen, some, won't listen and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is, Noah and his family on the ark, and a lot of people outside screaming to let him, you know what I mean, to let banging on the door to let him in, to let them in. Does that represent the remnant? Like,
The people who trying to get that in?
I mean, no, like in other words, Noah and his family was just saved. So that's a small amount of people compared to the masses outside.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. So Noah
Oh, okay.
gets the remnant, and the people, or the unbelievers. Now the believers who didn't believe, because Noah told them for years that, hey, it's gonna rain, it's gonna flood, be prepared. They didn't want to listen. They did not want to listen. Same thing today. We tell our people to repent and come away from their wickedness. What do? They don't listen.
Right.
Same thing in our day. So the
Mhm.
world, so Noah's generation was wicked and corrupt. Basically meaning the same is going to be this world before Christ's return. And we already see it right now, how corrupt this world is and wicked. That's exactly what it is. Noah, he preached repentance to the
Mhm.
ungodly, but they refuse to listen, right?
Mhm. Right.
And that's
Well,
exactly how the people are today. Oh, go ahead.
well, I just wanted to say, was that just Israel outside, or the world, Israel and the world?
Well, there was no Israel at this time.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, Noah he wasn't an Israelite or anything. Jacob was out where the Israelites were formed out of him. Came from
Okay, that's okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I was just kind of confused on that, so I wanted you to explain deeper.
him. Yeah, so like Noah, he preached repentance to the people. Tell them, hey, stop being wicked, or the Most High, or God gonna destroy you. He gonna let it rain and he's gonna kill all y'all. But again, they had refused to listen because they were hard headed and they really didn't care to listen to God. So Jesus and his disciples, they preached the same gospel message, but what? Many harden their hearts. Same way.
Yep.
Same thing we do today, right? You go to your family members or people you know, and you tell them, "Hey, what you doing is wicked. The Most High don't like it." What do? I'm gonna do it anyway. They still
Yep.
do it, right?
Yep.
Right.
And
Right.
you got people who are in the truth, and they say they love Christ. They say they love His word and all of that. And what are they doing behind the scenes? Wickedness. It's the same thing. As in Noah's days, the same
Mhm.
way people were preoccupied back then with earthly pursuits like what do you got? Eating and drinking,
Mhm.
marrying and giving in marriage, like it says in Matthew's 24 and 38, and that's basically talking about living for yourself, living for the flesh over the spirit, rather than living for who? The Most High.
Mhm.
And it parallels the same teachings that Jesus did when he came down and toward Israel, teaching them to seek what? The Most High's kingdom first in Matthew 6. It's the same exact thing. It's no different.
Mhm.
It's the exact same thing. That's why he wrote it that way. He wrote it that way. Noah is an example. It was a shadow of things to come. And that's what's gonna happen this time around too. Except it ain't gonna be a flood. That's gonna kill a lot of people. It's gonna be fire and other things.
Mhm.
And death and war. That's what's gonna kill the people this time. So Noah's family, how many people got saved? Eight souls. They got saved, while the rest of the world perished in judgment, right? So again, that foreshadows, like I said, everything is a shadow. Only a faithful remnant, like us today, or any remnant that was a part of Israel in the previous generations, they're gonna be saved through who? Yahusha. While the
Mhm.
majority reject him and going to get judged. It's the same thing with the narrow gate versus the wide road or the broad road that leads to destruction, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the flood waters that came, same way, it represented what? The Most High's judgment on sin, while the ark that Noah was in represent salvation by grace through who? Faith in Christ. See, that's what that
Mhm.
means. I know it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's deep, but that's
Very,
what
very deep.
that's what it means. But
Mhm.
did I answer your question though?
Yeah. Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
All praises to the Most High. Did anybody else
Mhm.
have anything they wanted to add or anything like that?
Hey, brother, I have to go. I enjoyed your lesson, though, man. You did good.
All praises, Chuck. Thanks a lot, man, for
Yeah.
joining us. Be easy out there.
Yeah, you did great, man. Love y'all, man. Y'all take care.
All
All
right,
right, be
man.
Okay.
easy,
You
You
Chuck.
man,
too.
have a happy Sabbath.
All right. Talk
Mhm.
to you next week.
All righty.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else got anything? Or y'all ready to call it a day?
I don't have. I'm sorry. I don't have so much. Um, Is this a question or opinion? Okay, so I wanted to know your take. What about the people who are in the truth but are not able to do the Sabbath because of the type of job they have?
Oh, okay. So basically,
Because that's my struggle. Like, and I've been
understand.
upset with myself because
Hmm.
my job is basically in healthcare. It's it could
Right.
be almost 24 hours.
Right. Understand. So basically, the Most High, like I said, he has what? He gives grace. All right. Now he understands that a lot of our people are in different situations that don't allow them to do certain things that he wants them to do. Right. He knows we are in our land of our captivity and things of that nature. But see, the Most High, he works on the heart. Right. So we continue to pray for him, or to pray to him. He can get you and he could deliver you out of that job or give you a better schedule. He knows that you're upset with yourself. He understands. He sees your heart. He knows that you want to celebrate the Sabbath. He can see that. So the way the Most High, at least I know how the way the Most High works, is he's going to give you, he's going to work an opportunity that comes for you that either allows you to go to another hospital that has a better schedule, or allow the hospital that you're at to give you a better schedule, to give you Saturday off. So he doesn't look at you that you're intentionally breaking my Sabbath. You're going to hell and stuff like that. See, the Most High not like that. He knows. He
Okay,
knows.
because that's been my struggle, and I will
Yeah.
admit I'm in like kind of a depression.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's normal or not. Like
So
I'm
what?
very frustrated. Huh?
Uh-huh. What'd you say though? Before that.
I said I'm kind of like in a depression, like a broken spirit. Like every day I get up, I pray,
Right.
ask God to find me something else. That's like my everything. I've been saying for the longest. Like I've been trying to find an exit for the
Uh-huh.
longest. And I'm just patiently waiting. And me doing so, it seems like I don't know if, well, he's putting all this on me. Me having to work now to help look after my mother.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, she's in the truth also. And
Right.
I don't know. Every time something is put on me, I feel like I feel like it's a setback because that's weighing on my shoulder, and I feel like I'm not able to do the things that I want to do. Like I want to be able to, like a woman, not sit at home, but do a job that's a righteous job. Like I don't. I know I'm helping others, but it used to be a passion until I came into the news, and then I'm just like,
Hmm.
yeah, this is not it.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like I just feel like I'm just stagnant, and that stagnation, me being frustrated with myself, I beat myself up every day. I fell in depression. I wasn't. I'm depressed right now. Even though I go to work, I'm happy. It seems like I'm okay, but deep inside, like I'm not okay because the job, it seems to me, it be taking me out of my Holy Spirit.
Right.
And I know once I get at home, I'm back to my normal. But as soon as I go to the job,
Hmm.
I'm out of touch.
Right.
Like,
I understand. And you see, the Most High, he does everything for a reason. Right. See, the Most High, he breaks us down before he builds us back up. That's what he does. He will break you down completely, and it doesn't have to mean break down on, like, physically, destroying you or anything like that. But he makes you open, vulnerable, basically, and aware of one's own shortcomings. Now, when it comes to this job here, the Most High is probably has this job making you feel down in order for you to go to Him, to have more faith and more dependence on Him. He's trying to get you to say, hey, pray to me about it. I'll get it. But things happen in different timings with the Most High. So, but you're being patient, and the Most High works in His own time. But I guarantee you, whenever He works, whatever He does in your life, it's going to be on time. It's going to be at the perfect moment. So I know right now it seems like hell for a lot of us. We don't like to work. A lot of us don't want to go into these jobs with these heathen and stuff like that and have to deal with them. But this is just something that we have to do based upon us living in this captivity. So He understands these things. But He sets you apart aside from a lot of the people that is at your job. Like for me, none of the heathen bother me at work. So I'm able to be able to be in my own space and do my own thing without having to worry about them trying to do whatever they're trying to do. And that's the same exact thing He can do to you. You just got to have more faith and dependence on Him. He's probably trying to get you to do that right now, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
It's not like a punishment or anything. He just wants you to acknowledge Him more. And then I guess once He feels you've done that, then he'll move on your behalf. But He wants you to move first before He moves, which is, I guess, means more faith. He's probably trying to get your faith to be stronger by having you do this job that is doing this to you and having you feel this way, because He wants you to come to Him more and have more dependence on Him, as I was reading about earlier today in the lesson. He wants us to rely on Him. So that's probably what He's trying to get you to understand and see right now. And once you get that, then maybe he'll open up a situation for you to be able to not work on the Sabbath. But He gets you. He knows your heart. He knows you don't want to work there. He knows you don't want to work on the Sabbath. He understands. That's why He works in His own timing. So whenever He does what He does in your life, He's going to get the glory for it. So that's probably what He's trying to do for you right now. I don't know. I'm not the Most High. I'm just kind of giving my opinion on it.
One more thing. I don't know if this is... Okay, so when I'm praying, some things I stop on my tongue about praying for because I just feel like it's been a battle for years. I'm undeserving. Like, I think I battle with myself deserving certain things, like being able to ask for certain things. I feel guilty about asking for certain things. Like, I feel like, I'll tell you what it is. So, you know how they say the Most High has forgiven you, but have you forgiven yourself for your past? Like, that's like a battle with myself. Like, I think I need try to do some shadow work on working on myself, like having a talk with myself, which I ask God for forgiveness repeatedly for my past, which I don't do anymore. Years of don't do anymore. But I just still feel like, once I came into the truth, like, I just still feel bad. Like, I just still feel bad, even though I wasn't the truth when I did those things. But I just still feel bad. Like, I just feel terrible. Right. So I don't ask Him for certain things because I just feel like I'm undeserving of this because look what I did 10 years ago.
Right.
I don't know if that's normal or not.
For a lot of people, I'm sure they feel the same exact way. I'm sure you're not the only person out there that feels guilty for asking things. Heck, sometimes even I still feel that. Most High's blessed me with this congregation, and I'm like, I ain't even believing you like 3 years ago. So sometimes it could creep up. The flesh does this. The spirit knows. The spirit understands it's deserving, but it's the flesh. That's where all these feelings come from. And if the Most High forgives you, that's the ultimate forgiveness. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks at that point. So if the Most High has forgiven you, that means He has deemed you worthy or deserving of blessings.
Yeah, and I know it's so sad because I know He has forgiven me because He has moved mountains for me out situation and has blessed me in a better situation. But I'm still like with the battle of myself. Like, okay, I'll give you one example. Like, okay, pray for Him to remove the toxic marriage. He did that, due to abuse, and
Mm-hmm.
easily. I'm sorry, I prayed. I think I was talking to Brother Chris about this earlier, but my ex-husband reached out just recently, which was today, and even though we are not together, we are divorced. I still pray for him to turn away from his wicked ways, so he won't do anybody else like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, he messaged me out the blue and say, God bless you. I pray that you, even though he was a terrible husband,
Uh-huh.
I continue out with my life, and he hope that I'm doing well. Continues to message me. I mean, but that's something I don't know. I guess I'm in a battle with that because I feel like, okay, I feel bad for asking for a second husband because the first one failed me.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I don't know, am I cursed? I don't know. I don't want to say cursed, but for me, I forgave my husband. I moved on, but I feel like I can't ask for a godly husband because I failed in my first marriage. I feel like I'm a failure because of my husband's own doing. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I can't open my mouth up and say it. And I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's what or not, but because I can't cohabitate with anybody if I'm not married.
Right.
So years of being single, but because you can't cohabitate with anyone unless you're married.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I heard a lot of people saying that, well, if you was married one time, that's it. You can't. That's the end of it.
Right.
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with asking for another husband. Just, the Most High has things that happen in your life. Don't consider it a failure. Because the Most High is the one who deems everything that happens in your life. He gives you the trials, the tribulations, even if you were before the truth. Like He did with me. So I wouldn't deem it a failure or anything like that. I just deem it as the Most High was trying to teach you a lesson. And that's basically what all these trials and tribulations are for. It's for giving lessons and for you to discern these lessons so that way you don't repeat the same mistakes that you did before. So by you asking for another husband, there's nothing wrong with that.
So that's not another sin.
No, it's not a sin or anything. If that's what you're saying, no.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Understand, people they were in marriages before they were in the truth, and it ended bad. Is that your fault? I mean, it's due out of ignorance, probably. You can count it out for ignorance and whatnot. But now the Most High is giving you a second chance, and now you kind of know what to look for when it comes to a husband or a man or whatever to be in your life. And now you can discern. You can use the Holy Spirit. You can pray to the Most High about different people that try to come into your life, and see if these are the ones that He has sent. So now He's giving you eyes to see the second time around. So now you have a second chance of being able to do it right, to do it His way. So that's basically what I think. That's what He's giving you, a second chance to do this whole thing the way He wants it to be done. So don't see it as a failure of the first one. See it as an opportunity now to do it the right way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
All praises. All praises. Did that answer your
Yeah.
question? Everything is that good?
Yes, that made me feel better because, like, y'all, I'm addressing the group. Like, I be feeling bad sometimes. I come in here on Saturdays because, like, every Saturday, majority of the time, I'm at work. Even though I get off at 2, I'm at work. I'm at work. I'm at work. And it's like they give me these off days and they're meaningful. Like, why would you give me an off day on a Monday or a Wednesday? Like, yeah,
That's just what the heathen do. I
I don't
understand.
know. And
I,
I actually did tell him about my faith when I started when I started work.
mhm.
And like most of them do, they complete slap in your face. Well, this healthcare and we're 24 hours.
Okay.
And if nobody is here, we don't have anybody to do this, that, and the third.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Kim is look like she's talking about 1 Corinthians chapter 7 for you, a chapter for you to read.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Ash?
Hey, I was listening to you guys. My mom actually went upstairs. She
Oh,
went
okay.
up away for a second. I was listening to what Sister Sheila was saying,
Uh huh.
and because I was hearing that she so if from my understanding she was married before.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so Miss Sheila, please look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I know it's very hard, but you need to know, because you don't want that to interfere with your relationship with the Most High. You need to know that if that's your covenant spouse, if he was never married before and you were never married before, then that you are legally, in the sight of God, you are binding together. You're one flesh till you die. It's a covenant, it's a vow that you can't that can't be annulled or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I know about First
he
Corinthians.
did give it out for that divorce. If you were like, I think it was fornication. I don't know if that happened with you or
For-
anything
It
like
was
that.
Yes.
it was
He let me
fornication and
actually.
divorce.
Uh huh.
I mean
I'll give
fornication
y'all the
and
short
adultery.
version.
Okay. I don't
Before
know if
the
that happened with you.
divorce occurred, there was abuse, but then afterwards, the home that we had got together, he ended up. Wasn't even divorced. He ended up moving another woman in my home while I was taking some time away with my mother.
Damn.
And the police had to remove her.
Hmm.
And I didn't divorce him. I begged for him to go ahead and sign the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
So he went ahead and signed the paperwork. But isn't like, because the woman can't divorce the man. So I don't know. So I didn't divorce, I didn't sign it. He went and filed. Once he knew I wouldn't cohabitate with that bitch. That was no exception. Like, I literally came back to get some of my things. And there was a woman in my house. The home that I owned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the law removed her, but
Right.
Selah, did he commit adultery on you?
I don't know if that counts. Yes, he did sleep with her.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you this. I was married before too, and I'm divorced. And my ex-husband wanted to leave. I was trying to fight for my marriage at the time, but
I'm
he wanted
sorry.
to leave and he committed adultery on me. So in the scripture, I think it's 1 Corinthians 7, and I think it's either 14 or 15. There's a verse in there that it says, if your spouse, man or woman, if they want to leave, then you let them go. You're not held accountable if they want to leave the marriage. The Most High is not going to hold you accountable if they want to leave you. So in that case, you can get a divorce and you can remarry someone else.
Excuse me. Hello. Hello.
Hey, what's
Yes.
up, Ashley?
Okay, hold on. You cannot get another spouse once you made that covenant with the one person. You are bound to them for life. What is it? There's this one scripture, I forgot where it says it, but it says if you are bound, seek not to be loosed. And if you're loose, then don't seek a wife, or it's something like that. But it you're tied to that person for life. You can't just go and get another person. You have to stay with them. I mean, even if you're separated, you still have to stay true to your covenant or be single for, you know.
It's only to my understanding, I thought it was only death that y'all the do you part.
It's only, it's in the vows. Only death do you part. If there's a living spouse living, my cousin Shelly, she's been away from her husband for 25 years. He went on and he got a whole nother life with a whole nother woman, but she still stays to her. She noted that's still her covenant husband, her covenant spouse.
I'm
And
gonna read you 1 Corinthians 7:15. And it says, but if unbelieving depart, let him depart. A
right,
brother or a sister is not under bondage cases, but God hath called us to peace.
right.
So in that scripture, if your husband or the wife wants to depart, when he said let them to depart, you're not held in bondage in that case.
I mean, no, I understand that. Wait, let me just say this: when Israel committed spiritual adultery against God, God did put the northern kingdom away, but did
Yep.
He go get another nation? He still kept covenant.
Hmm. He still kept covenant, but because that was his plan. That's what he wanted to do. That was his covenant. If you read
Right,
Matthew 19 and 9, Jesus himself, that's who we're talking about here. Jesus says,
right,
I say to you, whoever divorces his wife,
right,
except for sexual immorality, i.e., fornication, and
right.
marries another, commits adultery. So you can divorce if it
Yeah.
was for fornication.
Once they're in the engagement process,
Yeah,
once
yeah,
they're actually married, you cannot get a divorce. But
right.
during the engagement,
Yeah. Like, but if I never been married to Pete, and I was engaged to marry a guy, and I found out he got a woman pregnant during engagement. That's the only time I'm biblically right to put him away and don't marry him.
But Most High is talking about somebody who's married in Matthew 19 and 9. He said divorcing his wife. That means a wife. That means they are married. So you can divorce.
Mary was called Joseph's wife, but they weren't married before. Remember, like in the they were engaged. Mary and Joseph were engaged, but they still called each other wife and husband.
Right.
Mhm.
You remember that? Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't consummate the marriage. But remember, the angel had to come tell Joseph that the Lord used her to bring the Messiah.
Mhm.
Um, but I would like to go over to Ecclesiasticus chapter 23, and he says it right there plainly.
Mhm.
Chapter 23, I think it's seven. I think it starts at verse 17.
Ecclesiasticus. I don't have Sirach in
Yeah,
front
but now I can read it. Let me read it because he says it plainly right here. Because this is what me and my friends we talk about. Listen to what he said. This is the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 23, verse I believe it's 17. Well, I'm getting over here to it right now. We listen to this. And listen, he said all. Listen, it says all bread. I mean, all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off he will not leave off till he die. A man that breaketh wedlock, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me. And it says, and nobody seeth me. Who need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins. And then he jumps over to the woman. That's him talking to the man, and he says, Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all ways of men and understanding the most secret parts in all of us." And then he's moving over to the woman. Wait, hold on. It says, listen to what he said to the woman. It says, thus shall it go also for the wife that leaveth her husband and bringeth in another heir by another. First, she have disobeyed the law of the Most High, And secondly, she have transpassed against her own husband. And thirdly, she have played the whore in adultery and brought children by another man. That's in Ecclesiasticus, and you can read it all the way down. That's God in the book of Sirach, in the book of Ecclesiasticus.
That has nothing to do with divorce, though. It's just saying a lady who cheated and had another baby by another man.
No, wait, hold on. No, but wait. The subject is he's talking about a man that breaketh wedlock. He's talking about marriage. He addressed a man and he addressed a woman. And those are his words, not mine. That's his opinion on marriage. A lot of people don't. I know marriage is a hard thing. Well, can I ask you a question? Why did the disciples, when Jesus explained to the disciples about marriage, why did the disciples say, why did the disciples ask Christ that this is a hard thing between a man and woman? Because it's only broken through death.
What verse is that?
No, I said go over to when I think it's in Matthew 19 when the disciples was asking Jesus about marriage.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And then when he explained it, wait a minute, I'm just paraphrasing. When he explained it, they did say this is a hard thing between a man and a woman. Marriage is not easy. But I do know this: God is not a covenant breaking God, and I understand people are separated. People are separated all the time, but I can't go get another spouse. I can't because I have a living spouse. I have to fulfill my covenant.
But isn't when someone for the first time has breaks their virginity for both people, isn't that fornication? Isn't that man bound to that woman as well?
What she say?
What was the question?
When two individuals have an intimate moment, they're still bound to each other.
That doesn't make them married. That doesn't make them. I mean, what are you saying?
You mean two? What do you mean two people that are not married?
Two people that are fornicating.
Right.
They're bound to each other.
No, they're not married. Just because you know.
I'm saying you're saying two people that are not married and they come together sexually.
Yes.
And what are you saying?
No, that's like the same equal.
No, what I'm saying, you saying, if a man, you mean lay his skirt? Is that what you're saying? Whoever a man lay his skirt, is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm getting my feet down. No, but what I'm saying, I don't know. Like I'm going back. Okay, what William is saying is also what another elder I used to be under says.
Which was what? What I said about the
what William was saying.
Uh-huh.
I didn't divorce him.
Mm-hmm.
He divorced.
Right.
No, I understand what you're saying. If he's living, he can divorce. Like I said, we talked about it. If my cousin Rashida's husband divorced her, but she said that she's going to continue dating. And I tried to tell her, I said, Rashida, you have a living spouse, even though he divorced you and moved on with another woman. But you're saying that you're according to Mark 10, according to 1 Corinthians. Remember, he said, "Don't leave." And I think it's in Corinthians. Don't leave. But if you do leave, you must remain to yourself, or unless you go back and reconcile.
If a spouse commits adultery on another, goes
Yeah, I
like this.
understand that. So you're
You
trying,
don't have to.
you saying, you saying this adultery frees you up.
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah, that's what,
The disciples,
that's what
they
it
said
says.
they couldn't understand that because it wasn't readily. They basically meant that you could divorce out of any meaning. But Yahusha said no. Only through fornication. If you divorce your wife except for fornication, and somebody goes and marries her, they commit adultery. That's why they said, well, it's better us not to marry, because I'm like, because they at that time before Jesus came, anybody could just divorce anybody for anything. So they said now that Yahusha's putting on the table, you can only divorce only because of fornication. Now they like, man, we better not we better not get married, because it's like, why should we get married now if we just can't divorce for any if divorce is not made readily
I mean,
acceptable.
but follow me. Follow me. Joseph was going to put Mary away privately, right? Until the Holy Spirit got to her. The Holy Spirit got to him to tell him. But I think it's the Greek word porneia, right? He thought that. I mean, he thought that she had another man before. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can
No,
get
I'm saying,
married.
yeah. It helped me if I'm wrong. He said that's the only biblical grounds that I could put, a man or woman could put, if I'm engaged to you, or I'm engaged to someone, and they do something within the engagement before we marry and consummate the marriage. If they do something within that within that, betrothal, if they do something in that betrothal, and I found out he got a woman pregnant during the engagement, I have a biblical ground right to not marry him and let him go, because he would drag that into the marriage. That's how bad it is if I went on and married him.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, but again, as I'm just trying to tell you, even after you're married, if somebody commits fornication, you are free from that. You can divorce.
But I'm just saying, I'm asking you, within the engagement, the betrothal state.
What do you mean before they get
I mean,
married?
no, I'm saying during the betrothal engagement of that man, I had biblical grounds. If I found something out that he was untrue, if we engaged to be married, and I found something out that he did before we marry, I have biblical grounds to let him go, put him away, because it's that bad that you're pulling that, you're pulling that into the marriage. If I went on and married him, I found out he got a woman pregnant or whatever.
Yeah, but you're not married, so it wouldn't even matter. You just
Yeah. No, I'm saying, but the engagement means something as well.
what
The
is the
engagement is serious as
yeah, the
well.
engagement is, but it doesn't. It's not marriage.
Right.
So the marriage is not marriage. Marriage is marriage. Engagement is not marriage. You have not finished the deed consummated. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. The engagement and the marriage are two totally different things.
Right. But no, Brother William, wait, hold on. We're going to back this up. We're going to back this up. I want you to explain to me what he said in Ecclesiasticus about a man breaking wedlock. Now,
Sure.
this is not, hold on, it's not my word. It's not nobody's word on here. It's not your opinion, my opinion. Let's get God's opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, hold on. Right here, he's talking about marriage. He ain't talking about no engagement. He's talking about straight marriage. He said, listen, all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not, he will not leave off until he die. A man that breaketh wedlock. So we know we know he's talking concerning marriage.
Okay.
Okay, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? Because you know how some people do all kind of stuff. People do all kind of stuff, but he's letting you know you can hide, but my eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. I see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when he said, hold on, he said, a man that breaketh wedlock, saying in his heart, who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. It says, what need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins. So we know God is against this at the gate right here. Let's move on down here. It says, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. He knew all things ere ever they were created. So also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. Okay, it says the man shall be punished. Let's be clear. This is God talking. The man shall be punished in the streets of the city. And it says, and where he suspected not, he shall be taken. Thus shall it go also for the wife that leaveth her husband and bringeth in another heir by another. Okay, we talking about, this is a woman who left her husband, got pregnant by another man. Okay, it says, first she have disobeyed the law. What law? The law of marriage that he established with Adam and Eve. The law of marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me go. It says first she have disobeyed the law of the Most High, and secondly she have trespassed against her own husband. That's the covenant husband, the one that God honors, the one that God sees in heaven's courts. A lot of people down here want to go to when he say what God joined together. No court down here, can tear it apart. Oh yeah, yeah. You explain John the Baptist to me. He lost his head when he told her, "Go back. That's not your." He told her.
Yeah, because she did not. If she did not leave, remember the Most High. I'm telling you, this is what Jesus said. This is the same
Okay.
thing talking about.
Yeah, I understand. Wait a minute, hold on. Well, hold on. Let me finish. Let me just finish here. He's wait, hold on. He said that first she have disobeyed the law of the Most High. Secondly, she have trespassed against her own husband. And thirdly, she have played the whore in adultery and brought children by another man. She shall be brought out into the congregation and inclinations, and shall be made and shall be made of her children. Her children shall not take listen to this. Her children shall not take root, and her branches shall not bring forth no fruit. She shall leave her memory to be cursed, and her reproach shall not be blotted out. Explain that to me.
She played the harlot. She was a whore. She left the husband. She cheated. She didn't divorce him on the reasons that the Most High did. Told them that they could divorce, which is fornication if the man cheated or whatnot.
No, I'm just saying, like you were saying about northern Israel. I mean, the northern kingdom. Jeremiah 3:8. God divorced the northern kingdom. Remember, he said God divorced them. But show me where God got another nation. They did what they did, but he still stayed.
Yeah, that's God's plan.
Right. I'm just saying, but but he say, be ye holy. He want us to do he want us to play it out the way he did.
Not to an extent. We're not God.
Right, I understand that, but I'm just saying. But when he laid these, but when we go over to Romans 7, it touches on marriage. When we go to Mark 10, it touches on marriage. We go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it hits you over there, and then he even took it in the Apocrypha, the lost books. I just read from the lost books, Ecclesiasticus, the Book of Sirach. It's sprinkled all through.
Yeah, but I just keep giving you the same verse. Matthew 19:9, Jesus said, unless a man divorces his wife, except for fornication, and she married another, that she commits adultery, which means the Most High says if they fornicate, the wife or the man fornicate, then that abdicates the entire marriage, nulls and voids it in the Most High's eyes.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking you. You saying after they already locked into this marriage, or you saying this is during the betrothal stage?
Period. This is the Most High says.
Because go ahead.
That's his wife. He's talking about in marriage. It's the same thing that he did with the Northern Kingdom. He was betrothed to them. He was married to them, divorced them. Now, the Most High, he already made a covenant with them. So he can't go get another nation. He made a covenant. The Most High, his word.
So can I ask you something? If he don't break covenant, how can we?
Well, he just gave you an out. That was the out he gave you.
No, absolutely not. No.
Jesus gave you the out. He
absolutely
said,
not. No.
What? So then what? So Jesus is just lying?
No, what I'm trying to say is I'm saying that's during the engagement phase of you marrying. I'm getting ready to marry someone.
Oh, it does not say that. You're
because
putting that in the scripture.
No, I'm saying if someone asks to marry me and I agree on it, we both in agreement that we're engaged to be married. I'm before I even say I do and consummate the marriage, that betrothal is still serious. That engagement is still serious.
Where does that say that in the scriptures?
So wait, hold on. We see that through Mary and Joseph. We see that through Mary and Joseph.
He got pregnant. She got pregnant by he thought she was pregnant by somebody else. What does that have to do with it? That's adultery. He thought he thought she committed adultery. So he was about ready to put her away. That has nothing to do. Most High just told you. You can put somebody away.
Yeah, but I could put someone away, but explain to Corinthians when he said, "Don't leave, but if you do, you must." So that means if my spouse leave, that's okay, but the marriage is still the covenant is still intact. If we live in separate houses, the marriage and the covenant is still intact. Let God work on both of us. You understand what I'm saying? And then let Him, like Corinthians said, we come back together. Like you said, that's God's job, not mine.
You got to understand, 1 Corinthians 7 is Paul's opinion. It's got nothing to do with God. He already tells you in 1 Corinthians 7.
No, but hold on. Wait, let's back it up. Paul, he did tell you when he was speaking, and then he told you when he was speaking. Remember, he said, not I, but the Lord, like Ashton just said. He let you know when he's giving his opinion, and he let you know this is not my opinion, this is the Lord's opinion.
Mm-hmm. So if they did not commit any type of adultery and they just separate, then yes, they're still together. If they just separate, they are still together. Like you and Pete, you guys, they're not happy. You guys are separate, but you guys are still, quote unquote, together, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So what I'm trying to say is I have a cousin. She said that the man did commit adultery and left her for the woman. But I was saying, listened, hold on. I said, Rashida, that's still your husband. Ian is still your husband. And she got mad at me and she started dating other men. And I said, I'm trying to tell you, that's still your husband.
Right, yeah, because nothing happened. Nobody cheated. But I'm talking about what happened with Selah. The guy moved in and he cheated on her. He moved a whole other person in there and cheated. That breaks the covenant.
No, it does not.
Matthew 19:9 just said it. Jesus said it out of his own mouth. The same God Paul talked to is the same one who said it. That is what I'm trying to convey. Just like Israel broke the covenant and he got rid of them. It's the same thing. Just because the Most High got back Israel does not mean we have to go back to the same person.
No, I'm saying, but he did. Well, I'm saying you said that he made to reconcile back with them, come back.
I mean, if you want to reconcile with somebody who cheated on you, then fine, you can do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I by no means I'm saying we're gods. But he did say that, and he's trying. What I'm trying to say is that we can't. How can if he's a covenant keeping God? How can we break covenant? To explain that.
What do you mean? If we're covenant keeping God, how can we?
I mean, no. I said if he's a covenant keeping God, God keeps vows and covenants. When he make a covenant, he keeps it. So right. Marriage, what is marriage? What is it?
It's a covenant. It's a covenant. Now you gotta understand, even then, back then, Moses told them that he could put them away. But then Yahusha came back and then he put a clause on that. See, and back then they were just they were just using up these girls, these wives and whatnot. Whenever they got sick of them, they divorced them. They wrote up a bill of divorce and they got rid of them. Most High said, only if they commit fornication can you divorce. Other than that, you can't do it. You got to stay with them. So just because they got you tired of them, or you tired of their presence or whatever, or they annoy you or anything, you got to suck it up and deal with it. He says only if they fornicate, either spiritually or physically, can you divorce. Other than that, any other reason, you can't get rid of them. The covenant stays the same. But if they have sex with somebody, if they had commit adultery, as Selah's husband did, then she is free. The Most High, Jesus, said it. Matthews 19:9. Jesus said it. The same one who gave Moses the covenant, the laws, is the same one. So he has authority to say what's divorce and what's not can be divorced.
Right. I understand that.
He gave you the clause. He gave you the out. Any other out, you see, like in Babylon today, you can they have what? No fault divorce. You could divorce anybody anyway, anyhow, anyway, doesn't matter how. It could be for any reason. Same type of no fault divorce that Moses had in his day, because the people of Israel was stubborn with their wives and they didn't want to marry them, and they didn't want to keep marrying them. They had sex with them, and then they got bored with them and they divorced them. So it was the hardness of their hearts that they divorced these women. But Jesus came back, the same one who gave Moses that law. He came back and says, after this, right now, I'm putting in, if you commit adultery, then that is the reason you can get a divorce. He took away the whole no-fault divorce. He said only for adultery can you get divorced. That's what he said. That's what he meant. The one that you're talking about in Sirach, it has absolutely nothing to do. It has to do with somebody who break their wedding vow. And how do you break a wedding vow? You fornicate. The same fornication that the Most High say you can divorce somebody from. That's why the Most High, he said, you can't see me, because it's a sin for adultery. Adultery is a sin. You got stoned back in the day if you committed adultery. That is what your Sirach verse, Ecclesiasticus, is talking about. He's saying all bread is sweet to a fornicator. This means this dude is saying they will seek out and enjoy sin without remorse, even to their own detriment. Who can see me? The Most High can't see me. It's the same type of sins that Israel does. We know the Most High don't like killing. Well, we still go out and kill each other anyway. We know the Most High don't like stealing, but we go out. They know thou shalt not steal. They still go out and they stole. They did the same. This is what Sirach is talking about. Self-deception that can accompany such actions. That self-deception. Who can see me? That pride, that arrogance. The individual that can sin in secret, which is what adultery is. It is a sin. That is what Selah's husband did, a sin. And with that sin, he's going to be judged. He's going to reap what he sows. But for Selah, she is absolved of that in the Most High's eyes. She is absolved. That was the only out that he gave for marriage. He knows we not him. We not the Most High Yah. We have flesh. We have flesh. We can never be the Most High. So when you say, oh, he doesn't break covenant, how can we? We in the flesh. We are in the flesh. He knows we are in the flesh. That's why he gave the out. If he didn't want us to if he did not want us to divorce at all, he would have told you that. He says nobody can divorce. He would have said that, but he did not. He says divorce fornication because he knows how the flesh can be. And he doesn't want nobody tied to somebody who did that.
Right. So when he was talking to the woman at the well, when he asked her, where's your husband? And she said, the one I have at home, that means that she had 5 other ones and the 6th one at home wasn't hers. He said, you answered correctly.
Exactly. So she was just willy-nilly and just going to other husbands. It's the same way as the lady who almost got stoned. But the Most High says, I don't condemn you. Go away and sin no more. He didn't condemn her.
You're right, he didn't.
And he told her to go and sin no more. That is what marriage is to the Most High. It's serious, but if you sin, it's broken. Because we broke the covenant. He didn't break it. We broke it. So he had every right to throw us away. But he didn't throw us away completely. He had a plan. But that does not mean we got to follow the same thing. That's for him. That's his plan. That's what he's doing with his people.
Mm-hmm.
We are not the Most High.
Right.
We cannot do that. If we don't
Right.
want to go back to the same girl, we don't have to go back. The Most High gave us the out. Now we can go and seek somebody else. It's
Okay.
legal now that we can.
Right. So when in Corinthians, when he mentioned that, don't leave, but if you do, you must remain to yourself. Explain that.
Yeah, don't leave. That means if you leave, that means you left and nothing happened. There was no cheating. There was nothing done. You guys just did not get along and you left. They had
Right.
a difference of opinion and they left. And now you got to stay alone. Why? Because it's your husband. He didn't cheat. See, Pete, you and Pete, he didn't cheat. Y'all, you didn't cheat. So you guys are
Right.
still legally bound in the Most High's eyes. But
Yes.
your husband did. He had adultery. He moved a whole nother woman in there and had sex with her. That is an absolution of that covenant. She can freely go and get another man and get
Okay.
another husband.
Okay. Well, all right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna look her up. I want you to hear what Sister Sharon had to say about it, because she's in the same situation where she's divorced, but she's still she teaches on it. What I'm trying to say, I'm gonna send Sister Sharon over here. She's over in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm gonna send her her teachings on marriage over to you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, if you want to do that, I'll see what she's talking about. But if she's talking foolishness, I'm not gonna listen to
Oh
it.
no, 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 no. She no. Sister Sharon, no, she loved the Lord. She
Okay.
th- right. Yeah. What happened? She's she teaches on this heavily, what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Understand. I mean, if you want to send the stuff over to me and whatnot, I'll give it a glance over and see what it's talking about and see if what she's saying is biblical. But I'm just letting you know. The Most High gave us an out. He knows how we are in the flesh. He knows the flesh. That's why he gave an out. But Paul, he says, I'd rather you guys don't touch a woman. That's his opinion. But the Most High made marriage for a reason.
Oh yeah, I never said what his opinion was. I was going after what the Lord said, not Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Lord brought together, no man could tear asunder. Right. Understand. But he gave you an out. He said, this is the only thing that could tear it apart. This is the only thing you can divorce on. Other than that, nothing. You don't like, she argued with you a lot? Tough luck, deal with it. So if you do separate from her, then you can't get married again and she can't get married again. Because there was no sin involved. You guys just couldn't get along. That's nothing to break a covenant over. You can't break a covenant over that. Now, but if you sin, yes, you broke the covenant, just like our people did. We sinned. We did spiritual fornication to the Most High. That is the same. It's still fornication. So it's the same exact thing. If you date a girl who's an Israelite, or you're married to a woman who's an Israelite, and she goes off, and now she's burning incense, and now she's a Wiccan, you can divorce her too.
So for the women who are not with their husband anymore for whatever, not adultery, they have to stay by themselves.
They got to stay by themselves. Yes, that is the difference. If you divorce your husband, or he divorced you, and it was a difference of opinion, and no sin happened, you got to stay by yourself. But if sin happened, and he committed adultery, he cheated on you, he want to be with another woman, or she wants to be with another man, then you are free from each other.
So the man who went his separate ways from his husband, not due to adultery, he can get another woman. Or
you mean the man who's talking about in Sirach? The Most High gonna judge him for that. He got adultery on his heart. But he's saying you can marry. I don't know about him. But the whole covenant is over. You can freely go marry. He still got to deal with his sin. Because he's the one that committed the adultery.
And wasn't there something I was reading, something where the man has to divorce the woman? It couldn't be like
if a man divorces his wife, yes. Back in the day, that's how it was. It's different today.
Oh.
The law says you can divorce your husband.
Oh, see, that's why I wouldn't. He did it his. I wasn't gonna do it because I did know that part.
Yeah. So he divorced. That was back in the day. That was how the law was back in the day. But now a woman has the power to divorce. But you still have the same obligation of not divorcing just willy nilly. You got it's
So
got to be fornication.
okay, so if the husband cheats on the because because my mom had it wrong. And she was thinking that she couldn't. That's why she stayed with her husband for over 30 years because she did know that she couldn't divorce her husband regardless if he was committing adultery with all type of women.
She can. She can divorce.
See, she didn't know that. She didn't.
Oh,
She
she didn't
didn't.
know
See,
that.
I still think she didn't know that.
I got you.
Or whatever, whatnot, because that's what the scripture. She got misconstrued with the scripture now. So as far as the women, so if the man has cheated, the woman can divorce her husband and depart. Now, what about, so you're saying the woman who was not cheated on, she has to stay, like you just said, forever and ever. She has to stay by herself to death.
If he didn't cheat, if he did not cheat, if it was just a
But what
mutual,
if they separated and he's remarried?
well, that's on him. He committed adultery.
So what does that leave her?
She got to stay the same. She got
She
to
got
be
to stay to
single.
herself.
She got to stay to herself. Just
You
because
know
he
what?
did
That
it,
just make me
don't
so
give you.
sad.
That's just that's the way the Most High work it. That's why he gave you an out. That's why he tells our people to discern who you marry. Now, of course, a lot of our people married before the truth,
Not in the truth. That's
not
what
in the
I'm
truth.
saying.
Understand?
I watch my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's the whole
but
thing about reaping what you sow.
so what about the people who are like they wasn't in the truth? They don't get a pass.
No, Most High don't care about that. You reap what you sow. Isn't that what the Most High said? So if you're gonna get with a man just because he look good, he got muscles, then you're gonna reap what you sow. When all that man does is beat you up, or who knows what they do. But if they commit adultery on you, then you can divorce them and get yourself another husband. But if that man is just he's just an asshole, he don't treat you right or nothing, you can't
But
divorce.
here's the thing.
You got to deal with it.
When you're also, I want to challenge this. So here's the thing. So in my situation, okay, I can get remarried, but here's the thing. I would have to get remarried to somebody that's in the same situation.
What do you mean?
Okay, say I meet a young man. His wife committed adultery. He's free from it. It
Uh-huh.
can't be he's now divorced for whatever reason, but it's not my scenario, correct?
Right. So
It
you're
would have to
saying
be.
you can marry any man. It doesn't matter if he's divorced or not. He could be single man or divorced. It doesn't matter.
But isn't he, if wherever his situation, ain't he committing adultery?
If he's divorced and he did not sin, then no, he's committing adultery if he tries to get with you. If he tries to marry you.
But
You have to
does
marry
his
somebody.
sin weigh on me by him doing that?
You mean does it weigh on you?
Okay, like for instance, like okay, he was married. He committed adultery on his wife way before he met me. He's divorced now. My situation is different. He's now turned from his wicked ways, whatever. Now he's with me, but still, he's committed adultery already. So does that affect me?
Mm-hmm. If he has repented
Because
of his
I
sins,
didn't.
then he can. I mean, that's how the Most High works. If he's repented of his sins, yes, he can remarry because that covenant is broken.
But he already cheated with the first
Yeah,
wife.
he cheated. Then that's your discernment. Then you don't go out with him. It's just
What
plain
if
and
I
simple.
don't know that? What if I don't know that?
If you don't know, that's why you ask questions. I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta ask.
first
You
of
gotta
all,
pray to
then
the Most High.
people
You gotta pray to the Most High for them eyes to see and ears to hear. You gotta pray on these people. That's why you can't just go out with anybody, anytime. You gotta pray. Is this the man that you want me to go out with, y'all? Give me some
So
signs
I
of
guess
who
the
he is.
women who out here fornicating after marriage, they got a death sentence. What you saying?
They gonna get their judgment. They gonna reap what they sow. The Most High is very serious. That's why you see a whole lot of people, dying who getting divorced. A lot of people getting this murder suicide because they getting divorced. I don't know if you've been reading those kind of stories, but these people getting divorced and a man coming back and killing them and stuff like that. Now we don't know how they got divorced, but we all know mostly in this Babylonian system, people are getting divorced over financial reasons, emotional reasons. Got nothing to do with the Most High. Committing sins, you can't divorce that. So the Most High is reaping on them what they sow. That's how that's the judgment.
It's not just for people to be with nobody, period.
I mean, it ain't. The Most High draws it up that way, then we can't really do nothing about that. I mean, Paul was celibate, but that was just how Paul was.
So yeah, I'll just when I get a chance to find her, I'll send it over to you and I want you to go over very closely and tell me what you can get out of it when you get some time.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely do that. You know.
Yeah.
This was a good talk and everything. You know, I wish you guys the best.
I done learned something because that's the reason why I'm by myself. Because that ain't the whole reason. Because these men ain't fine. But majority of people are, even in the ones in the truth, are still worldly. You know.
That's why I gave you that discernment.
Like he said, because marriage is such a serious step. I would prayerfully, like he said, fast and pray. I would be, like you said, constantly going before the Lord to find out. Show me, like you said, Brother William, I need to show me this person. You can see beyond. I can't.
So that kind of like ties in kind of a little bit. Poly is being a sin, kind of.
What?
Because predominantly the people who are doing poly are not doing poly. I mean, they got several wives, but still, before they get with in covenant with another wife, they've already been with that person. That's the reason why they want to bring her in. This is what I observed on a lot of.
So.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to wrap it up and just say, well, thank you, Brother William. That was a good teaching. And just when you get a chance, please send a recording over, and I'll make sure I send it. Sister Sharon over to you.
Yeah, for sure. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sabbath out there.
You too.
I'm about ready to get out of here.
Thank you. That was very informative.
No problem, sister.
All praise and happy Sabbath, everybody.
Okay,
right.
same to you.
Shalom, everybody.
Okay, same to you. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.